Okay, we are live. We are recording. Phone lines are open. Go ahead.
Thank you, Matt. Good afternoon and welcome to the East Hampton Town Architectural Review Board of today's date, which is October 28th, 2021. I'd like to open the meeting with the approval of minutes from our last meeting, which was October 14th, 2021. And asking if everyone had a chance to review. And if so, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes. Can I get a second? Esperanza.
Second.
All in favor? Ward?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. I want to make one announcement to anyone who is watching that coming up the month of November, the ARB will not be having any architectural review board meetings scheduled because the way that the holiday dates fall with the way that our meetings are scheduled with the town as well as with LTV. So we would be off from November 11th because it's Veterans Day holiday, and we would be off then the following 2 weeks later, which would be the 25th, I believe, which is Thanksgiving. So our next scheduled meeting after today is December 9th. And then we have a second meeting in December, which is December 23rd, which is, the day before Christmas Eve. So anyone who has any applications that they'd like to submit, I would like to make a suggestion that they submit them as soon as possible, because the way that they're going to be scheduled for the agenda would be on a first come, first served basis. So the faster you get them in through November, you'll be put on the December meeting. So I'm recommending that you don't wait till December to put in your applications, but we will be, of course, accepting applications up until towards middle to the end. So I'm going to open the meeting today under architectural overlay, and it would be Brian Mannix, tax map number 300-149-5-1, 335 Town Lane in Amagansett. So Matt, we're looking for Brian.
He's already in and connecting.
Hi, Brian. Good afternoon. Let me just have Jonathan read into the record what the application is for.
This application is for an addition and new siding on the east side of the residence. That is overlooking the pasture land.
And can you tell us what the square footage of the addition is, please?
Oh, wow.
It's on the second page of the application.
Plans. Oh, yeah, it's 1,184 square feet, 2-story addition into and over existing parts of the house.
All right, Brian.
Yes.
Do you want to give a presentation to the board? And David McMaster, our town attorney, is subbing for our staff who usually operates the smart board. So we're going to ask you just to have a little patience with everything. And if David, you want to pull up some of either the pictures or the renderings. Jonathan, where would you like to start? You want to start with these photographs first? The ones that you took?
Well, Brian, Brian's going to start talking about the proposal, right?
Yeah, but let's just look at the photographs that are on the screen now so that
the addition is going to go. The addition will go. See the glassed-in porch and the railing overhead. That's where the addition's going to be going, and it's going to come out a little further than the concrete slab that's there. So they're putting in a new foundation. At that point, they're going to go up, and there's going to be a gable. Where did it go? It's going to be a gable over the addition at that spot. The whole bottom level will be open to a screened porch with sliding panels closing it down, and the second floor is a bedroom, I guess, and that will have shutters on either side that are sliding. This is a view of the existing view. And when I walked onto the site yesterday, I just was in shock because I realized the last time I was there, it was 1972, and it just looked exactly the same. And this is a rare situation in East Hampton where you can see something that is so close to what it was so long ago. It's really a beautiful site.
Nice.
And that's what we're dealing with here.
Right. So Brian, if you want to take a walk through, yeah, David, if we can pull up the elevations, and Brian, if you could take us a walk through what the addition will look like and how this is all going to present.
Yes, I'm actually here with the architect, Fred Drew. Maybe he can find it.
Can you speak up?
Sure. Can you hear me? Can you hear us? Hello?
It's a little, it's not as loud.
What are we, where are we? Hello, everybody. Fred Drew, I'm the architect. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Fred, it's still a little low.
Okay. I'll snug
Maybe
in
you
close
can,
here.
maybe you can turn up the volume on your computer.
I believe that right there. Is that better now?
Keep going.
Going, yeah. It's
How's that?
Pretty
As
good.
much as you can.
Okay. It's pretty loud on this end, so hopefully you can hear us. So those existing photographs were helpful. Yes, on the first floor, it's actually a 3-season room right now. We'll be incorporating that into the house. That will become a dining area and just a little sunroom off to the side. If you notice, there are 3 doors on the front of that piece. The addition is actually coming forward, but it's not the full width. It's 27 feet wide, and it's coming out another 9.5 feet out in front of that. And on top of the second story where that balcony is, that same 9 by 27 will be occupied by the new addition. Down below that, it's actually a screened porch. So essentially we're coming out 9 by 27, and we're leaving a portion of that 3-season room on the first floor, and we're leaving a portion of the balcony on the second floor. And through that, we're getting the additional bedroom that we need to incorporate it. Going with the agricultural theme, we're trying to keep it in tune with what's there. And we're going with almost like a barn kind of structure look on it, where, you know, he'd be able to close up these doors when they're not in town, and it would essentially look like a barn building next to the existing residence. Sufficient? Can you hear us, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. David, why don't we go to the next elevation so we can see it from the other sides, from the back and the east and west? Because that's the south facing elevation.
Right, you have to go into the plans, which are there. Otherwise, I do have some renderings that we could share if I can send them to you. I don't know if that's possible.
Well,
Betsy, on the rendering, I only have this one page.
You don't have the proposed north elevation?
They would be on the building plans, which I think were another file, David.
Correct.
So this is what I have.
Over to the left, over
Yeah.
to the way left.
Oh, this one? So I got it.
Yes.
Give it a whirl. There you go. If you can open it up.
You can go to page A7.1.
Right. And then, so that's the south elevation. Then if you scroll down 1 or 2, David, you'll come to down at the bottom right there is the north elevation. If you can bring that up. My screen
So
is very small. I don't know. I'm afraid to do anything and have this.
Keep scrolling through the plan.
There you go.
Yeah, all the way to the elevations.
There.
Okay, so that's your south view. The north view is directly below it. So that is actually part of the existing house. We're purely putting a roof. We're framing a gable roof on top of it, and we're going to change the siding out so that we get that monolithic kind of look to the barn structure, and it would attach directly off of the house as shown in that view. If you go up one further, you'll see the east elevation. And that would be the east elevation. Again, the only thing we would be doing is changing out the sidings, the siding on the elevations to match up with that look of this kind of agricultural building. The windows, the windows on the first floor to the left and right of the fireplace, that is the existing living room. Up above, those are 2 bedrooms existing. The new window, the triple unit to the left of those is the dining area, which is now occupying the current 3-season room. And above that is a bathroom window. And that's pretty much the look of it. So the gable on the front, on the south side, would carry through and over the existing roof. That's purely a frame over. We're really impacting only forward of the house or south of the house. You know, what's the goal here? To minimize structural changes internally.
Fred, why are some of the windows in the all the windows in the existing house 6/6, and now you have 6/1 in the additions?
I
believe that's how the house
I
is
actually
now.
think that's how it is. Yeah,
Existing house.
that's been that way since I believe the Fleetwood addition back in the 70s or so.
Let me just ask a question with regards to the agricultural areas. I'm trying to just get myself positioned on, where's this driveway? Okay. So for the board's edification, the north, which would be, I believe, west is ag property, correct?
West, you mean east?
This top here.
I think, right?
I'm trying to find, where are we on Town Lane?
Town Lane is on the right-hand side of the drawing.
It goes up and down, Betsy.
Oh, I see. Okay, all right. So it goes in, all right. Thank you. Sorry. So coming into the property, you have agricultural area in the front facing south. You have agricultural area on the east, which is up above. You have agricultural area in the back, which would be north. And is the western portion, is that also ag land? It doesn't say on the.
What, you mean the eastern, up above?
No, down below.
The south.
South.
No, that would be west, because Town Lane was south.
Oh, west, yeah.
Yeah, Town Lane. Well,
Right. So the way that I'm looking at the survey, there's 3, sections that surround, 3 areas that surround the south, the north, and the east.
oh, the unlabeled part, yeah.
And the house is positioned more towards the eastern ag land. Does anybody, Jonathan, do you want to give, the board your opinion on this before we all weigh in?
Yeah, I think that it's a good addition. If you picture the house, if they continued this with the same style, it would start to look like a total McMansion. Right now, it looks like a traditional house, and if you put this on, it changes your view of the house, so that you still see the normal proportions of the original. Not the original, but the existing house, and this barn-like structure over there. And there's a barn at the other end of the vista. I think it's a good traditional way of enlarging and making an addition to your house. Yeah.
David, could you go back to the colored rendering that they submitted?
That one.
That one, right? The third one in. Third file, where it says Baldwin ARB residence, the color.
That one, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So if we could just blow that up so we could take a look at that. Esperanza, where are you on this?
I agree with what Jonathan just said. I find the proportion and just the line of this edition excellent. I'm just having I find that the louver part of it is dissonant with the rest of the house, and so I'm having a little bit of a jolt with that. And I mean in particular the section that meets the existing portion of the house there, right in the center.
The joiner, the joiner.
Yeah. That part is just somehow dissonant to me, and maybe it's just the quality of the rendering that I'm having trouble, and it might be gorgeous in reality.
May I explain what that the intent there?
Yeah.
So the lowest level is the sunroom, if you would. The louvered portions, those are almost barn doors in their own right. They're brise-soleils, they're sun shades, if you would, so that it doesn't pick up the direct south light coming into the space. They are made of a natural cedar or ipe wood. They gray out very similar to the barn, and you'd be able to move them, you'd be able to double them up to clean the glass behind it or move them to the other side to clean it. One level up from that is actually, again, part of that original balcony that was there. We have glass rails in front of it, which is what is trying to be depicted by that blue kind of haze in there. And then again, another similar brise-soleil kind of sliding panel to give the ability to shade the sun from the south a little bit, even though that is a covered porch, because one level above that is actually a roof deck where they'd be able to use the telescope in the evening light. And that's pretty much the intent. The intent was to break it. It's kind of, you have this barn structure, but we wanted to transition from what is a very traditional house to this barn structure with this almost transparent element. And that's the intent. I feel quite confident that it does succeed in that goal. But that's...
So are the brise-soleil, are they slightly adjustable?
Well, they're made, so we would actually set the amount for the solar, the heating season, so that we are able to block some of that solar gain from.
But I mean, it's not like a Venetian blind which would close down.
No. These are more like barn doors that allow.
You want a barn door look, but I was thinking that that would be it. But
Diane.
Yes.
Your take on this?
I'm in agreement. I liked what Jonathan had to say to begin with. I like the proportions and the flow of it, and the fact that it doesn't look like a stamped out McMansion.
All right. Well, my initial take on it was I felt it was a disconnect from the house, in that the house is horizontal board siding, and I believe it's painted like a creamy color. And then to have the vertical wood siding, I just felt it looked like a completely different unit. And I understand now, listening to the architect, that was the intention, to make it look like there was a barn connected to the house. But I think that this house is very sensitive to the area, and it has a charming, very sort of classic, agrarian feeling to it, from a standpoint of, a home that was built on, farmland. And I don't know, I'm almost of the opinion that I get the sliding barn-like louver coverings over the doors and the windows, I just think that the type of doors that are being presented for the first floor, I guess the dining area, seems more modern in feeling than the type of more paneled doors that are existing now. That I think it's like what's there now is warmer and more in keeping, where this feels more cold and a little bit more austere and modern. And I'm wondering if that could be something to be considered, that they're not so severe, and that maybe the siding becomes horizontal as opposed to vertical. It's just two of the things that are not sitting right with me.
Betsy, two things about those two things. I think that right behind on the first floor, right behind the sliding panels, is a screen porch. Screens.
Right.
So that's what's facing the road. What's facing the yard is the screens. It's way back inside the house is where those sliding glass panels are. Like, I don't know, 10 feet.
I'm sorry. I thought that those were exterior, floor to ceiling sliding doors.
Those
And
doors, those doors are 10
what
feet
are they?
back from the face of the building.
Say that over again.
They are 10 feet back from the face of the building?
Yes, that's what I thought.
And these are screens, correct?
These are screens. What we're looking at now are screens.
No, actually, I guess artistic license, those would be representative of the doors that are 10 feet back. There actually is a continuous screen up at the face of it. You wouldn't even see those vertical
Right, exactly.
elements.
You wouldn't see these doors. Yeah, right.
They would be in shade, and they're similar in color tone to the.
I think we're getting a little tripped up with the language. When you say screen, are you talking about the louver barn door panel?
For bugs.
No,
Bugs.
actual screen,
Actual
like a
screen.
mesh screen. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. The next thing I wanted to say is the verticals in the gray color here. I believe those are tongue and groove butt cedar siding. There's no groove in that, right? Because you said they would be totally flat.
This is the siding you're speaking of?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a vertical, reclaimed wood kind of look.
Yeah, right. But I mean, exactly. But there's a flat butt, there's a V butt, and there's a shiplap. This is a flat butt to butt, right?
The butt. Yeah.
So that you basically looks like one plane.
Correct.
So, and similar to the other side, which shows all the horizontals, those are all shingles. They have a different character too, and so forth. So you have this textured shingles and you have this plane there. So it's a nice contrast, and it really allows the barn to take second place all the way along.
Okay. Well, we basically polled the board, and
Betsy, you forgot to ask me. It's Chip.
oh, Chip, I am so sorry,
That's okay.
because I wanted to get everybody's input before I went in. I'm sorry, Chip. I'm so used to the last couple meetings. We only had 4 members. Okay. Sorry about that. Go ahead, Chip. Thank you.
Well, I think that they're trying to recreate sort of a New England farmhouse, though it's large in scale with an attached barn. And that's a standard kind of thing. My only concern with this thing is the barn is about the same size as the main block of the house. I don't mind the different building materials. Often the barns were made out of different materials than the house, but the scale and mass of this is quite large. And because the joiner joins it directly to the whole block of the house, usually there would be like a one-story joiner, but I think this is a pretty large addition. It doesn't show so much from the front, but it certainly shows it from the back.
It's close to 1,200 square feet.
Yeah, but in the back, it looks tremendous. In the front, not so bad. I mean, I'm okay with it. I wish it was a little bit more sympathetic to what it should be, like a joiner and a barn, but it's really just a big extension of the house, and it happens to look like a barn.
Right. Can I ask David, there's one elevation that shows the north elevation, which is the back of the house. I just want to make one more point. Thank you, Chip. And again, I apologize for that.
Okay.
Yeah, you just have to keep going, David. I'm of the opinion that if the front of the addition had more of the same feeling that the north and the back did, that I would feel that it was, and I'll use Chip's word, sensitive to the rest of the house.
This addition is really existing. They're just taking the shingles off and putting this new siding on.
So this
And
is
sort of straightening the roof. That's a huge roof that's going to be there now, Jonathan.
Siding that.
Oh, no, yeah, it's the roof, but I'm talking about the siding, right?
no,
Yeah.
but what I'm saying is the back of the addition is not there now. This is all part of the addition. And
No.
I'm saying that it's sensitive to
It looks more like the house than the barn. It doesn't look like a barn at
That's
all.
why it looks like the house. It exists now. They're taking the shingles off and putting new siding on it.
Oh,
I
oh.
thought this was the back of the addition.
Yes. But they're only putting a 1,200 square foot face on that wing of the house. It exists. The
Okay,
footprint
I
exists
understand.
already.
All right, Jonathan, I thank you. I understand.
Yeah.
Okay. So to that point, I am of the opinion that I would have liked to have seen this mirror the front. Or the front mirror the back is what I meant to say. So I'm hearing from everyone on the board, with maybe the exception of Chip feeling a little bit like I'm feeling. We can take a vote on this if you'd like. Jonathan, do you want to make a motion to approve this as presented?
Yes.
Unless, unless anybody has anything else that they wanted to ask, like either Brian or Fred.
I think that she was posing questions to the board. I'm here if anybody has questions.
Actually, David, could you zip down, scroll back 1 or 2 pages, which shows the separating, the reveal area? Got one more, I think. One. Wait.
No, it would be the other direction.
The other direction.
Yes, right there.
Right there. Yep.
One elevation down. Half a page down the other way.
So page 15.
Page 15, correct. That's
No.
what side above that is.
But wasn't there, right here, wasn't there another detail? Because you see, both of those areas are screens and it's open in the back. So that's going to end up being black. I think there was a section up above, I thought.
Oh, there may be. I don't exactly know what you're saying right now. I apologize.
All right. Go up.
So just to discuss what Chip had mentioned a little bit earlier, the notion of a one-story connection, obviously that would negate the addition because we would be eliminating bedrooms to make that happen. There are bedrooms that exist in that second-story portion, which is, I guess, why I chose to try to create this transitional piece the way I did, because we still needed the connecting first and second floor to maintain, the spaces that already exist.
I totally get that. I totally get it.
Yeah. All right. So
Jonathan?
okay. I make a resolution that
No, you make a motion, Jonathan.
a motion. Yeah. Thank you. I'm still asleep. Can't move yet. I make a motion that that the ARB approves the project as presented.
Can I get a second on that, Diane?
Yes, second.
Esperanza?
Aye.
And Chip?
Aye.
I'm going to say no. All right, you're good to go. Congratulations. Good luck with it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
You too. All right, next on the agenda for agricultural overlay is 8 Sayers Path LLC, tax map number 300-196-1-8.1, 8 Sayers Path in Wainscott. And Matt, we'd be looking for, I think we said,
I gotta go on this.
They're coming in right now.
all right, I think it's
Hi.
Jessica. Hi, Jessica. And
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Oh,
And
eager to.
if I can, I just need to unmute a phone number. Last 4 digits, 1016.
Who else is coming in?
We're just gonna use this on the computer.
Okay, so
and you're with Michael, right?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to put it down for the record that Michael Gentile is on with Jessica Guetta. All right, Esperanza, if you'll read into the record what the application is for and give us a little history on where we're at with this, we can get into it.
Right. So this seems like it's a new application for a property that we've reviewed now several times, located at 8 Sayers Path. This application states that it is a proposed 2-story new construction residential dwelling with a 1-story pool house. And the main house would be a total of 7,920 square feet. The pool house, which would be 1-story, would be a total of 200 square feet. There's a new materials list and new renderings were submitted. This is actually also a new architect for this proposal, which is similar in some ways to what we reviewed in the last meeting with this applicant in July. But there were changes made and also actually the size of the main house, I believe, increased. So yeah, just I think that for the most part covers it on my end. I think also I wanted to mention that most of the prior meetings we've had a great deal of discussion because this property it is within an agricultural overlay district and it overlooks a horse farm. It shares a driveway with 2 other residences. And we had discussed in prior meetings how we were apprehensive about the scale of the proposed dwelling in comparison with the surrounding structures. So there was a concern about whether this was consistent and harmonious with the neighboring buildings and residences.
I just want to, I have one question and I want to just do this to clarify. The original application that was submitted for this meeting that we understand was a mistake had the house listed as 7,920 square feet. Then Jessica resubmitted a application copy with an updated date from our last meeting, which was July 8th. And that application stated that it was 7,400 and I'm going to say 27 square feet. So Jessica, can you tell us what the new updated renderings and elevations that you submitted, what the total square footage is for this residence?
Yes, it is 4230. Yes. 3690 equals. So this card application is 7920. My assistant accidentally were building a property at 180 Rose Hill Road LLC. Mm-hmm. she accidentally put that property name on the application, which was an accidental error.
Okay.
I missed it when I reviewed the submission package. The square footage is correct. The floor plans are identical from the previous meeting. There really was nothing changed to the residents except the fact that we didn't love the asymmetry of the gables on the front elevation. And we felt that having the gables kind of all be 3 symmetrical gables would give an enhanced look to the home. So I think that is just a small area of additional square footage. In addition, we really wanted the bathrooms in the house to have windows in them and not be closed off. So that little extra footage enabled us to move the bathrooms on the bedrooms. Let me turn that off. The bedrooms 2 and 3, so that we would have windows in those bathrooms. We made the changes that you had requested. My understanding was that you really love this home. Obviously, you know, I've owned this property for a very long time, and I've done everything I could do to make this home satisfactory and to the board and make you guys feel comfortable. You guys had, you know, said at the last meeting that you love this home, except the fact you didn't love the metal roof above the staircase gable. We made that change. We feel that this home is very much in keeping with the Wainscott area. We are turning this property into one property, which means that it's 4 acres. So I don't think that we can compare a home that owns 4 acres versus the neighboring lots that own a half an acre. I know the neighbor that is to the rear of the property, kind of parallel to this home, absolutely loves the design and is so excited to not see an open field with no house here. She's looking forward to having a neighbor, and we showed her the drawings and she loves them. And I don't know if you have any additional questions, but Michael and I are here to answer all of them for you.
Well, I just want to be clear, because when you resubmitted paperwork that the staff had requested, you submitted the last application, which has a different square footage. So I just want to be clear that that the application that had Rose Hill has the correct information on it, that it's 7,920 square feet. Okay.
Yeah, so if you look at page, A6, you will see that the first floor plan square footage is 4,230 and 87 is 3,690, which equals the 7,920.
Okay.
So the only thing that was a mistake to that application was the 8 stairs path, and I guess when I went into.
I just want to be clear, because you did submit another application with the date of that was in October. So Esperanza, when you were looking through your paperwork, did you note on the survey that this was the same square footage, or was there?
No.
There's discrepancy.
There's the updated survey from October 19, the proposed square footage, and I'm thinking this is accurate, states 7,991.
Guys, we've discussed this a bunch of times. The square footage on the survey does not match what's on this because they calculate it differently. And if you want, I can read you the same email that I've kind of read in multiple meetings describing why there's a difference.
It's just good 70 square feet. It's okay. All right. Okay. I wanted to just get all that cleared up. That's all for the record. All right. Esperanza.
Okay, no problem.
I think that the design is a vast improvement from the very early design and even from the last one in July. I disagree that the fact that this is, you're combining properties. You have a recreational reserve, which I'm not quite sure yet what the circumstances of that is, but this is still a part of a neighborhood that is more modest in size as far as the structures are concerned. And so, I was actually surprised that this again jumped up from even the very early application, I think, had gone down to under 7,000 square feet. So now we're back up to almost 8,000. So I disagree with your reading of, now you have 4 acres and no, I think this is 1.7 acres and you're building an 8,000 square foot house on it. And in proportion to the buildings, to your neighbors, to your direct neighbors and the remainder of Sayers Path, and the fact that this is an ag, I just still think that the scale is not harmonious. The mass and scale, because it presents very, very, sort of square on the property.
Chip, where are you at with this?
Well, the design is certainly better. It's a tremendous house sitting next to the highway, and you're going to see it from the highway no matter what anyone says. When the leaves are off the trees, this house will loom parallel to the highway. I'm sort of mixed on the whole thing.
Jonathan? David, excuse me for 1 minute. David, could you just pull up the survey on the last submit so that we could get a sort of aerial of how this presents on the property?
Good idea.
One from the previous meeting? Is that what you're asking for?
No, the one what was submitted with this application, the new one.
Okay, is that going to be in the site plan folder?
The renderings.
Yeah. Can somebody explain to me how we went from like a little bit under two acres to 4? Where is this?
I'm sorry, there's no survey in here.
There's no survey?
In the renderings folder, no.
No, none, no.
It would be maybe with the application or site plan, maybe the site plan folder.
There we go. Isn't that it?
There you go. Oh, God, I hate this guy.
Okay. So where are we getting an extra 2 acres here? Explain this to me, somebody.
Hold on, I'm looking in the folder right now. The ARB, there is a composite survey that shows. There's a composite survey.
Fine, David, this is fine.
There's a composite survey. So this lot is 1.7 acres, and the adjoining lot that Adam Miller is combining now for us is 2.2.
And is that to the south? I'm sorry, to the north?
Yes, to the north of it. To the north, it's 2.2, which is a complete tree reserve that blocks. You cannot see this property at all from the street whatsoever.
Okay, so you're combining the property in between you and the highway.
Right, but the other lot is a reserve with trees, so it's not going to be developed.
Well, I understand that. I'm just trying to figure out where you got the 2 extra acres from. And most of those trees in that reserve are deciduous trees. So
I can see the property now when I drive by. I can see the clearing. I can see the opening where the house is going to be, Jessica. So I think it's not correct to say that you will not see this house from 27. It will loom over 27 like a corporate headquarters.
Well, they're the first of the 3 surveys is black and white, and it shows the extra land around it and the highway and so forth. So maybe we want to go there.
Yeah, let's see that.
Because this is hard to look at.
Well, the house occupies the entire width of the lot. It goes right to the driveway of the neighbors.
Exactly. That's where I
Oh,
was going.
it doesn't. There's significant
There, this one.
trees in between.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How
that's
could there
it.
be leaves in between? I see the
Trees.
driveway to the first house on the left, and then your house is right
Oh, no,
across from it.
that's a shared driveway between the three properties.
Right,
her
and
house
this
is-
house
is-
goes right up to the edge of it,
No, her house goes,
to the
A
edge of the
few-
road, the edge of the driveway. It goes right up to the edge of this shared
I
driveway.
could show you, I could show you a landscaping plan. There's significant trees in between the lot.
And also, David, at some point, show my pictures, which might.
Yeah, let's see.
All right, so the recreational is oops.
Do you want to go back to that, Jonathan?
Yeah, let's see what this recreational area looks like. It's 2.2 acres. We haven't, and that's what, now that this says recreational reserved area, then that's that band that goes around and then goes out.
Yes, it's like a triangle.
A little pie-shaped area there, recreational. Is that it?
Yes.
This is it.
Yes.
So in other words, nothing can be built between the edge of the house and the highway?
On
Yes.
that, yes.
And that represents 2.2 acres. And then if you notice, if you open up the Dropbox, there's a landscape plan in there that shows that there is actually significant plantings in between the house and the next property over, my neighbors.
Proposed areaway.
Where do you want me to go?
You go into the landscape plan, if you go into the site plan area, and you go into,
I didn't get any landscape plans, so I'm not
I
sure.
don't think we have those.
I mean, there's significant plantings. I see it in my box, but I could email this over to Nora. There's significant plantings between the property. I think, what is there, 20 or 30 feet setbacks? Hold on. What is this? Can you tell me what this measurement is? There are, between the proposed house is a normal setback of 21.2 feet. That's standard. I'm not any different than any other house on any other property. I'm following the rules of
Right. But your house is 8,000 feet.
So there's actually,
So here is a perfect shot. If you can go back.
Excuse me, I just want to say, Jessica, what you need to keep in mind, please, that this isn't a normal piece of property. This isn't something where you went into Watermill or Sagaponic and bought 4 acres of land. This is a town, East Hampton town agricultural overlay property. And there are different levels of, how could I say?
Review.
When it comes to owning and building on ag property, which is why you're before us, and which is why you don't have to come before us for something that's not on an ag overlay. So that is what we have been charged with in reviewing this, okay? So you can't look at it like it's just a regular 4-acre piece of land and you can have 10,000 square feet, because it's not what.
but I understand. I'm not, and due to that, I'm not developing the other 2.2, but I've tried
But
so
you wouldn't
hard.
be able to anyway.
It's a
No,
reserve.
but what I'm saying is I've tried so hard, to develop a home that you guys are satisfied with. And at the last meeting, you guys said that you loved it. And
Well,
it was-
Jessica, we never use the language, we love anything. So I don't believe that's correct. I've never heard this board say we love anything.
I think what we heard was that we were more favorable for it, and it's possible I might have said that I loved it. I think I might have, so I don't think.
You did.
Yeah. So,
I also have to tell you that when I was reviewing this and I was doing my notes from July, I was telling Esperanza, I am not dyslexic, but for some reason, when I wrote from looking at your application to what my notes were for the meeting, I switched from 70 400 square feet to 47. I switched the 4 and the 7. So while I was reviewing this, all of the July 8th meeting, in my head, this building was under 5,000 square feet, which is the only reason why I would have said I loved it, and the only reason why I didn't make any comment about the scale and mass of this house and how it presents on this narrow lot right across, and it just like hugs the entire width of the property.
So I want to let you know that I actually announced in the last meeting exactly how many square feet it was. If we look back in the minutes,
well, I'm telling you,
we went over.
I'm just telling you what was going on in my head. All right. I understand that you said they were, but all along during that meeting, I had made a mistake and I was thinking this was under 5,000 square feet, which is why I didn't make a beef about the mass and scale, as opposed to I was just looking at the design and how much more favorable it was to what you had presented before. I just want to be clear about that. After
I did remember you saying that you loved it.
Presentation, Justin, please. I said that after the presentation, and I realized that I had made that mistake, I was very disappointed that that happened, and that before we adjourned that part of the meeting, that I didn't say something about the size and scale. So that being said, I think you're hearing from, let me get with Diane. Where are you on this, Diane?
Well, I'm essentially the same place I was. It just seems totally inappropriate in that spot. I mean, there's I know it has nothing to do with this. There's a house on David's Lane, and that has just been built, that they built it sort of, if you turn that house around.
Sideways?
Sideways, so that it somehow didn't
appear
that one.
Where?
both
Exactly.
ends of the property.
Right. I mean, yeah, I agree 100%.
Betsy, why don't you poll the board?
I kind of am at this point. Jonathan, where are you on this?
All right. One second. I'm just looking up one number here while I'm looking around. 9. All right. So, there's the pyramid law. All right. So, the discussion is it's too close to the side of the properties, and it's off of the driveway that we're looking off at. I assume this is the driveway to the left of this photograph. It's 21.2 feet off of, but actually off of that driveway. But actually, there's an extension, a deck that goes out in between the 21 and the driveway. And on the other side, there's something else intruding into the space that's might be floating or something. But, it does sort of like max it so much. And, it says it's an open area way, which
It's
implies
underground.
It's
underground.
Oh, it's the area way is underground?
Yes, it's underground.
For plumbing?
Yes, it's just to exit.
Okay, all right. So you can put trees there then and so forth, but still, 20 feet is still pretty close. And I don't, it does seem extra wide. I'm not.
And it's going to loom, being that close to the driveway. It's just
and it's the house ends up being close to 30 feet tall. You do have the angles. You're within the pyramid line, which is fine, but it's still, since it's so close, it's pretty big, and it's. I do think it's too close to the driveway. I don't know why it has to even encroach further than you say. So that's one thing. And I guess that's all I have to say. Everybody says everything about
Does anybody else have any other comments that they want to make other than what we just said, that we like the house, the design, that we feel that the size and scale, the way it's presented on the property, just seems like it's going to loom over that area. And if it was possibly flipped so that it was, longer as opposed to wider. Does anybody else have any other comments that they want to make?
It's inappropriate, but where's the kitchen? I couldn't find it in the plan you gave me.
It's all part of one big open area.
It's A6.
All right, I'll look it up. I think the edges need to be more sensitive, and that's the biggest problem I have. Otherwise, it's a lot better than your original house. Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to poll the board.
If I might speak before you poll the board, I just wanted to point out that, we meet the required setbacks. There is ample room on each side of the house for, tall plantings to screen the house from the neighbors. And we're not asking for any kind of zoning relief or pyramid relief.
This is not about that. I'm sorry, Michael, if I can just interrupt you. We know that you're within the zoning code. That's not the point. The fact that this is in an agricultural overlay district requires
but how come
it's an additional layer of review. And one of the charges is the assurance of harmony. And it includes that we must review anything because of lack of provision for balance between the proposed location and design of structures and adjacent open areas or adjacent existing structures, whether on or off the lot or site in question. I mean, that's one of the things that we're evaluating here, and that's what you're hearing from us. It's not a question of whether you're within the code or not. That's not at all being discussed here.
So the reason why I
this wasn't mentioned at the last hearing, and we developed
We've mentioned this repeatedly. That you were not included. You would have to go back to January to really hear us say all of this.
I mean, this home is very harmonious with the neighborhood. It has a traditional.
We're not talking about the design. You've heard us say that we're not objecting to the materials or the design. We're concerned about the mass and scale, and that has been stated from the very beginning.
Okay, well, I want to ask you one thing. The mass of the house was exactly the same at the last meeting, except the garage gable was raised. Other than that, the house is identical.
But we didn't approve it last
week. We didn't approve it. There was no moment that we approved.
The only comment that you guys mentioned was that you wanted me to change the metal roof. I own this property now over a year. I've done everything I can.
Take a cumulative look at everything we've commented. The fact that we didn't dwell on the mass and scale in the last meeting was probably because every single time you've come back to us with a completely different design and you finally presented something that was more palatable to us. So we focused on that and encouraged you to make some changes to that. That does not deny the fact that we have discussed the proportion of this in comparison to the neighboring properties. We've discussed that time and again.
And since then, it has grown in square footage.
So what if the neighbor next door?
It doesn't
work that way, Jessica.
Okay, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to poll the board, and I'm going to ask them if, as presented today, would they approve this? Esperanza?
No.
Chip?
No.
Jonathan?
No.
Diane?
No.
And Betsy, no. So I'd like for you to take what we've suggested today and come up with some kind of plan that, based on the design that you have, either repositioning the house on the property so that it doesn't present the way that we're opposed to, and or reducing the mass and scale. So that.
What about if we moved it back a little bit?
No.
No.
Jessica, every time you present to us, there's errors in the presentation. This time you have a Rose Hill name on a Wainscott property. We never understand what the square footage is. You're losing credibility because your submissions are always inaccurate. And I have no faith that they're ever going to be accurate.
Oh, Chip, come on. Let's.
Well, I would think the drawings presented are pretty accurate. Maybe the application, which I had no.
Well, the title, the name of it, we thought the property had, we didn't understand how Rose Hill could, I know Rose Hill Road, but why you submitted it with that and you said you never checked it because your assistant did it and blah, blah, blah. You've got to submit accurate information and you don't. Every time there's an error.
Rose Hill Road.
Well, here's the thing. Let me just bring this all around. Let me just say this, please. What Chip is saying, the way that he is saying it may not feel, warm and cozy, but what he is saying is very true. And here's what I'd like to focus on. When we get to a point where the board is ready to approve this, everything that you submit has to be 100% accurate. Everything has to match up. Everything has to represent what we're approving. When we do your resolution, we don't, say something like if it was a fence that ARB approves a 6-foot fence. Everything that's on that resolution reflects and refers to surveys, plans, elevations, renderings. So they're going to have to be perfect. So we wouldn't be able to approve this today anyway, because your application is imperfect. So, and it doesn't matter.
That's a clerical.
I understand that it was clerical, but we cannot approve an application that has the wrong LLC on it. And when we do the resolution, we refer to everything. So I just want to be clear, and that's where Chip was going with this, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to table this. We don't have another meeting until December 9th, and please, consider what we're suggesting. We have gone through this many, many times, Jessica. It's not something that we just, we're picking on you. We have gone through almost a year with one other property, and we got to the point where the owner, as well as the representative, as well as the board, felt good about approving. It's not like we're doing this because we have nothing else to do with our time. So I'd like for you to just take very serious what we're suggesting to you and how to rethink how this house can get to the point where you're ready to get a resolution. So
what about turning the garage? What about if we made the garage turn to the forward?
We can't design this for you. We told you our feelings, so you need to go back to the drawing board and figure out how you can, appease the situation that we suggested, and as well as get the design that you're looking for. Okay, so we'll table this. Thank you. Change to commercial, Hermitage at Nap Peak Ltd. Units 7 and 8, tax map number 300-110-2-23, 2148 Montauk Highway in Amagansett. Matt, I'm looking to see if somebody's on from...
Yes, if you can give me 1 second, I'm going to unmute their phone line right now.
Thank you.
And we're going to unmute last 4 digits of 6288.
Good evening, board. How are you? It's Shannon from Dewey's
Good.
Planning.
I'm sorry?
Hi, it's Shannon McCaffrey from Dewey's Planning.
Hi, Shannon. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about you?
We're doing okay. David is helping us with the smart board today. So, David, Shannon had submitted some color photographs of the Hermitage building. And when you're looking for that, I'm going to read into the record what this is for. This is an application for the Hermitage at Nap Pig. There are 2 units, Unit 7 and Unit 8, A7 and A8. And they are proposing to remove 2 existing 4-foot by 4-foot windows and replace with 2 new, almost 4 feet, 47.5 by 47.5 square egress windows. They are removing proposing to remove 2 existing 30-inch by 40-inch windows and replace 2 with 2 new 36.25 by 42.5 egress windows. So the windows are being swapped out. Does anybody have any questions? They seem, what I can see here, it appears that the windows to be replaced will be a little bit more square in nature as opposed to rectangular. Is that correct, Shannon?
A little bit. It's the closest that we can get to the existing windows while meeting egress requirements. And so just since they're changing slightly in size, we have to come to you for permission.
Okay, all right. Does anybody have any questions for Shannon? No, I have no problem with these being swapped out and the change to commercial, so I'm going to make a motion to approve this application as presented. Could I get a second, Chip?
Yes.
All in favor, Diane?
Yes,
Jonathan?
Aye.
And Esperanza?
Aye.
Good. All right. Thanks, Shannon. You're good to go. You don't have anything else?
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
All right. Thank you. Okay. BMC East EH Holdings LLC, tax map number 300-197-1-4581 Wainscott Northwest Road in Wainscott and Esperanza. And we'd be looking for someone from BMC or possibly Ann Sherry.
Yes, please give me a second and I will unmute everybody. Okay, last 4 digits of 3255, you are unmuted. And last 4 digits of 5058 is unmuted.
Hi, Ann Sherry here on the phone.
Hi, Ann.
Hi, Ann.
Hi, I can't get the Zoom to work, but I guess that's just fine.
Stand by.
Oh, wait, here it comes. Here it comes.
Esperanza, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to step away for 2 minutes. If you want to, when everybody gets in, kind of read into the record and do your thing. I'll be right back.
Yes. Whenever you're ready.
Okay.
Ann is there? Okay. Yep, we hear you.
Okay. So yeah, we came back with the changes, a few changes, a bigger overhang all around the perimeter.
Wait, one second. Let me just give a little background on this. So this is a commercial property at the corner of Wainscott Northwest Road and Montauk Highway. It's part of a little complex with the meeting house medical and an architect's building in the back, and this is right on the corner. So it's fairly prominent. We've been reviewing this with the proposed changes by the applicant, and the last meeting we had, first of all, the property was in tremendous disarray on the exterior. There were a lot of weeds and so forth, and I'm in particular very grateful that the whole property was cleaned up beautifully, and it's a huge improvement. And then just this week, the second thing that we had proposed or discussed doing was trying the power washing of the exterior of the siding, so that we could evaluate what that would look like first before the proposal to paint the siding was considered. So it has been power washed. I took these photographs. This is of the north facade. And the others are the south, which was facing the Montauk Highway. So they're different tones or hues. And I just wondered, Anne, do you know why there are 2 colors?
I think it's probably the amount of sun that's reached the various spots.
That would be then, I mean, you would think then the northern exposure would be
Oh, it's backwards.
It's a combination of sun.
I do not. But also, I just wanted to say that we're not proposing any longer to paint it. we were proposing to semi-transparent stain it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. And so, I mean, I'm focusing on this side, on the north side, because this actual power washed color is quite nice.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of rotten
What do you
wood
think?
here.
What do you think?
Excuse me, I think somebody might spend a lot of money trying to get some wood to look like that.
Yeah,
Right.
a lot of it's rotten at the bottom where it hits the sidewalk.
It's actually not that. It's not.
Well, can I just say, if we swing to the left and we see the discrepancy between what we like and what's not so great, I don't know, like, how you'd ever solve this, quite frankly, because I feel that the semi-transparent stain will make it more
Unify it.
uniform and
Will
still allow the wood grain through.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Would
Yes.
would you bleach it first?
Well, that's why I was focusing on that north facade. I'm trying to say that's appealing, that it looks fairly, nice. And
Well, like you
it's
said,
veering
it's
toward your original proposal of a more white building. So I'm siding with you here. What's going on?
Well, I think ultimately I don't know, but it doesn't really feel very good to do more to it to bring the grain up. I think it needs to be sealed with something, which
Right.
will, which would be done with the stain process as well. So I don't know that, and plus you could bleach it and then it still would be this, non-uniform. So we would have to stain it anyway.
Oh yeah, no, you want to stain it anyway, definitely.
What color is the stain going to be?
Well, I tried to pick in the range of Cabot's semi-transparent stain, something that was on the whitish side that we had desired. And I gave you a very bad color chip on my plans, but with a number that you could go maybe root around for something better, or but it's just basically a whitewash.
Right, but it's a semi-solid, so the grain's not going to show.
It's semi-transparent.
Semi-transparent, Betsy. It'll come through.
I'm looking at what the Cabot is on the plans, and it says underneath semi-solid deck and siding stain.
Oh, please, God, tell me I didn't put the wrong word in, so this has to go on. It is semi-transparent. Not that I don't love y'all. Semi-transparent, because it's that doesn't. I was hoping for solid at first because it's more of a painted look, but now that we're into this more naturalized wood look, it's better to have it semi-transparent. So if we could send a little amendment along, maybe, because that's what I had meant to say.
So it would be a semi-transparent ultra white. Is that what it would be?
Yeah. And I don't, I was sad that they called it ultra white because,
right.
When I looked at it online and pictures, it wasn't,
so white,
screaming white. It was screaming wood grain with a white wash.
Well, let me ask you this.
White wash sounds good.
White wash sounds good.
But Anne, look, I'm not.
That strip is terrible. I basically put it on there so we could just agree to move forward, but it's it's not a very good representation.
Right. But the only
now if I've really called it if I've called it full body, then we're in trouble once again. But
I think on the application or somewhere I wrote down semi-transparent. I wasn't even looking at that semi-solid chip. So
the only question that I wanted to ask, Anne, did you actually buy a can of this and look at it? Because there's no way that you can feel comfortable looking at something online such as a color. I mean,
this is very true, but this is not like there is a lot of choice in the matter of white stains of this nature. So I think it's like a moot point. We all want it to look light gray, white. So,
well, yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't feel comfortable approving a stain that you haven't actually seen and put on the building, because if we go ahead with this and make a resolution for ultra white, semi-transparent, and when you actually get there with it and it's not what you're thinking it's going to be, this sort of creamy off-white color, I just think it's a waste of everybody's time at this point. We got this far, but let's not focus on the semi-transparent and the color. Let's talk about what's going to happen now with the roof. Are we still on the same plan that you submitted with regards to squaring off the roof, but it coming over the sides, and what the materials are they still going to be cedar, natural?
All right, yes, everything is the same as it was, except that it's been pulled out a foot as per your suggestion.
Right.
The overhang, you mean?
Yeah, the overhang. It's the same materials.
1 foot all the way around, yeah.
Okay. So does anybody have any questions for Ann or Esperanza, or any comments about what we're discussing today with this?
I think we've tortured this applicant for so long. I really think we need to move forward. I have never seen so much attention spent on little tiny pieces of wood siding as we've spent on this building. I think we just have to get on with it and get this thing approved.
It might be worth it.
Yes, I think it will be worth it.
I really feel
I think the color is, sorry.
No,
I think
I
we've
want to
held
hear
this
what Jonathan-
applicant up
excuse me,
way
Chip,
too long.
Chip,
Okay.
I understand your frustration.
I'm looking at, on my phone, the complete list of the Cabot semi-transparent stains. And there's, they all look beige, but there's a names called Ultra White, Snowfield, Navajo White, Glacier, Silver Lining, Foghorn, Linen. You have a big choice. And
I did not see those. You're under semi-transparent, eh? I saw the one other one that was
semi-transparent stain.
Okay.
I can text it to you if you want.
But you can go to ABOPS and get a sample. I mean, that's the quickest way to do this.
I'm happy to put samples up, but the thing is that it's a very ununiform spot. If I'm going to go start to paint boards with stain, it's going to be another, lengthy amount of time. I think we're all in agreement that we would like it to be some sort of whitish tinged, shows the wood grain, semi-transparent stain.
Yeah.
Now, I don't getting past this point, exactly what you want. I don't understand, because I would go there tomorrow with a stain and put it on the side if I thought that would help this matter. But I think it's going to be, the whole thing's going to have to be done.
Okay. Are there any sample pieces of wood? No.
No. Is there a problem about just letting us put the stain on? And if you think it's horrific, then we'll. No,
you know what, and on all due respect, this is not how we roll, okay? And I don't know.
No, please don't get defensive. It's just, what's going on here.
Not letting me finish. What I wanted to explain to you is that in the past, we would not approve something unless we had an actual sample. Maybe because, COVID and Zoom meetings, things get not as detailed. But I personally, as the chairman of this board, would not recommend to this board to approve something called ultra white, thinking that it's going to look off-white. Okay? So yes, and I apologize to you and to your client and to the board if you feel that we're dragging this out. I don't feel that way. And I'm not going to approve something that I don't feel comfortable, and then all of a sudden it's a problem. That's not how this board rolled in the past, and I don't think we should roll like that for this. So, for one more time for you to take a piece of wood, paint the stain on it. I understand there's going to be variations, but just so you could submit to the board, physically what the stain is going to be and what the color is. You may find when you do that you don't like it, and that you want to do a couple different colors and pick the one that you think is the best and submit it to the board.
Yeah.
You don't have to do anything.
Possibly,
else.
but
Everybody else is in agreement with the design.
All right. So,
Betsy, is there a way that we could approve the design and she could do the construction on the roof with the color of the siding to be determined later?
Yeah, maybe we have to replace a piece and get a sample out of it so we can actually do the samples.
And
so
maybe
it represents.
Would it be possible to do?
Someone's got something playing right now that it has to be muted.
What?
Yes.
Thank you.
Might be possible to have several samples we can meet at the site at some point between now and Thanksgiving or something, and say this looks good, and they will know right what to do on the December 10th. And meanwhile, you can proceed with the roof and everything.
I think that's great if we can go proceed with the other stuff, and I'm happy to do samples to confirm the exact stain at a later date. And yeah, I'm happy to do that. It would be. That would be
That's
fine.
That's a good solution. That's a great solution.
And in all fairness, Ann, this is, look at, like I say, this is what we do, all right? And we'll try to work with you as much as possible. But, I've been doing this long enough where if you're not completely 100% on something, you need to just, kick it down the road until we get it right, because something's going to come back and bite us. And I'm just not going down that road anymore. So we can make a motion today to approve the application as presented with the exception of the color of the stain. And then when you get those samples, you figure out which one you like the best. And if you have one or two that you're unsure and you want to submit both to the board for us to look at, we can vote on it. But, it's really up to you and your applicant what they like, and then we would take a look at it. Okay?
That sounds great. Thank you.
Right. Anybody have any questions for Ann or Esperanza?
No.
Okay.
No.
Esperanza, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, and I just wanted to add, I'm looking at the same thing that Jonathan is looking at, and there's the ultra white is actually darker than other ones that are Viva and everything else. So I agree, this is a very good way to resolve this, and I think that maybe you would need to go with, a choice of 3 and do the samples on site and figure out which one it is. And I think that will work.
I just want to be clear because I'm a little bit confused. We're going to approve the design elements of it, but then the color or the stain, that has to be before the board again at a separate meeting and be approved. We can't just have an approval for all this,
Yes, that's right, David. That's right.
To be determined. So she's going to have to come back and get an approval for the stain.
Yes.
Right. But
Understood.
we're making a motion for the resolution to go for the application as presented without the color of the stain to be determined.
So when she comes back, is that going to be a new application? Or
Could we do for the siding to remain natural wood? Okay. And then what they would come back with is a modification to stain it?
Well, she has to pay for a modification fee. I think that.
Well, what's more?
You can't do it. She can't get an approval and then have it, like, once it's approved, right? She has to come back as a modification.
David, the resolution would state that the color of the stain is to be determined, and we could put a date on by, December 31st, 2021. Okay.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with that, as long as there's some kind of end date on it.
I understand. You need a parameter.
Okay, that's good. All right, so.
Remember, paint color is not a safety issue. Generally.
Thank you.
So I go ahead and I make a motion to approve this application as submitted with the stain of the siding to be determined no later than December 9th is the
just
31st.
December 31st by the end of the year.
Would we want to do it by the 23rd?
Well,
Right, so you could look at it first.
So we could look at it?
No, what I'm saying is we need a parameter for how long that we're going to hold off on the color. So we're going to go, she's got 2 meetings in December. So I would like that it to be approved before the end of the year. So I don't want to put a day on the 9th and then all of a sudden she gets bumped to the 23rd. And if we approve it on the 23rd, the resolution doesn't get done until after the 23rd.
Okay. So by December 31st to be approved, the stain.
Right.
Okay.
Does that mean I can submit before the next meeting and then and then come to the next meeting? You could possibly vote on it. Does that mean that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay.
Definitely.
Can I get a second, Jonathan?
Yes, second.
All in favor, Diane?
Yes, definitely.
And Chip?
Yes.
Great, thanks. And Betsy, yes. Thank you, Ann.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Good night. Driftwood Apartment Corp., Unit 56, tax map number 300-110-1-132178 Montauk Highway in Amagansett. And we'd be looking for someone from land planning, Matt, possibly Wilshire, land planning.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, is this
Yeah.
Laura?
This is Jean Galante from Land Planning.
How are you? Let me just
Good, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. So I'm going to read into the record what this is for. This is very similar in a way to one that we had before us for the Driftwood Apartment Corp. On the stretch. This is for Unit 56 and the rear elevations. David, if you can put my pictures up that I sent. Ann had sent some others, but the one that I took, let me see. Yeah, the one exterior photo, the one to the right. That one, yeah. Let's just put that up because that's where this is happening. Okay. East rear elevation, replace existing door with Colby white aluminum clad sliding glass door. Rear elevation east, replace existing window with Colby white aluminum clad window. East rear elevation, removing existing HVAC from the wall and relocated under the deck. You see there's like a crawl space under the deck there. And replace the cedar shingles in kind where needed. All shingles, paint, and trim to match existing. I think it's pretty close to what we've approved before, and it's pretty clear cut. Does anybody have any questions for Jean or me? If not, I'm going to move forward to make a motion to approve this. All right, I'm going to make a motion to approve this application as presented. Can I get a second, Diane?
Oh, yes.
All in favor, Esperanza?
Aye.
Chip?
Yes.
And Jonathan?
Yes.
All right, Jean, you're good to go. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot. Night.
Good night.
After all that, for God's sakes.
That one went quickly. Did you get a new iPad?
You gotta leave the meeting.
Okay, business sign. Matt, can you turn Lori and Jean off? Business sign, Mill Hill Nursery, tax map number 300-200-1-4.10, 75 Town Line Road in Waynesville. Esperanza, do you know who you're working for Will with Ocean Graphics, correct?
Yes, I think Matt has.
Yeah, I'm here. Do you hear me?
Oh, yes, great. Hello.
Hi. Hold
Hey,
on.
how are you?
Esperanza is going to read into the record what this is for.
So for 75 Town Line Road, this is an application for 2 single-sided signs. Each sign is to measure 24 by 36 inches, which is 6 square feet total for each one. No lighting, 12 square feet in total for both signs. This is in a residential area, so I believe that that conforms to the sign code. The height is going to be no higher than 6 feet on the posts. And the location of the signs will be, one is at the southeast corner on Wainscott Main Street, and the other one is on the west side on Town Line facing Hedges Lane, and I have some pictures of that too. The colors are, let's see the rendering. It's a green and white sign, so it's a green and white background with contrasting white lettering and green lettering.
Yeah, can you blow that up a little bit so we can see that? So there's 6 square feet in total, correct?
Yes.
Okay. For a total of, for 2 of them, 12 square feet. Okay.
Yes.
Anybody have any questions for Esperanza and or Will? No? All right.
Go back to I missed where they are going in the photograph.
We can go back to the, there's a survey.
All right. Oh, yeah, all right.
And so there you have them marked on the survey in red.
That's where they had two signs are there at the end of one road and near the
It's
property.
not really the end of one road. It's sort of just east of the corner of Town Line and Main Street.
Yeah.
And then there's the other one that if you're driving on Hedges Lane and just about to enter Town Line, it would be right in front of you. In my photographs, there's a one of those yellow traffic signs. That one. That's one location. So it'd be somewhere in that area.
It's going to be near that sign.
That's sort of what I'm seeing that. And this is the other location. So
Probably a little awkward, but that sign there, it should be off it a little bit.
It's not a tremendously large sign, but I'm just wondering if, I don't know if the white posts would be, maybe you could go.
Actually, if I could just interject, the posts were just rendered. I noticed that when they were sent over, they were rendered white, but they were supposed to come through and print as raw cedar.
Okay, good. That's what I was going to ask. Because I think that would be less obtrusive.
Yeah, good call.
Yep.
Okay. Excellent.
So, Esperanza, make sure in your motion that you mention that the 6-foot posts or white cedar.
And it's clear cedar. What did you specify, Will?
Either construction or clear cedar. I think they're going to be construction cedar, which is just the same color and everything is clear, just not as finished.
So it's not like
it'll just have more knots in it. That's about it.
It'll weather though, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it'll gray out just like anything else. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah, that's much better because, we have to be sensitive. This is a residential area. It's a tree farm. It's got the agricultural fencing and everything, but it's wouldn't be nice. And to Jonathan's point, to have it next to the yellow traffic sign might be a little bit jarring. So good.
Okay. Esperanza, is it a retail or wholesale place?
It's a tree farm. It's a nursery.
Will it be open to the public or it's just a place where they grow trees?
I think this is to the trade. There's a similar sign. I meant to take a picture of that on Hollow Road for Scott Wilson Landscaping. So it's not on.
Okay, so there's not going to be a parking lot or in a place.
No. Yeah, no.
Okay.
I think it's just to announce that this is a tree farm.
Well, and also if it is just to the trade to show where the entrance is. But I just want to go back to the survey, David. David, did you think there's any kind of roadway situation from like the highway department or something about being close to that directional sign?
If there is, the highway department would have a comment on that, and probably the sign company knows that. So maybe
that's very optimistic, Jonathan. I think that it looks like it's right on the property line, the proposed location, which is right here. Right? So that looks like. Go back and maybe see.
If you look at the double arrow sign, it's exactly in the same spot.
But it's in the middle of that easement.
Yeah, well, look where the double yellow lines are. It goes right to that spot. Oh, the middle of the easement next door?
Right. No, that's a big, wide. There's another photograph, and you can maybe see how wide that expanse of grass is. So. There. See where the sign is? Do you see where the?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I would suggest that they move it, as far away from that directional sign.
All right, so, the directional sign is on the road, and this sign would be back against the fence.
Correct.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
All right.
Yeah, it's essentially on the fence, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's.
Well, let's have Will confirm that.
Yeah, it's going to be just right with the property line there, which I believe is on that fence line. I don't show a fence indicated elsewhere on the survey, so it'll be pretty much centered on that road and back. I mean, if we feel that there's any visibility issues, we may cheat it to the left or right, foot or two, but
Okay.
I think it's more so just as an identifier for the property, not so much,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Just as long as it's on in the property, not, on the property line.
Right.
Correct,
I was
yeah.
just going to say, I mean, if you're using the 4-inch square posts, will that not bring it, will it be difficult to get it? If this fence is right on the property line, you might have issues with
the sign
being outside the property line. So perhaps
it's hard to tell with the survey. I have to look a little closer at it, but it does angle off the property line in some spots, so it might be just back from the property line, but we'll see. They might want to put it inside the fence.
Put it inside the fence, no problem.
Right. Yeah. Or right on the fence. I don't know. So, but
we'll make sure that it's not, it's within their boundaries there.
okay. All right. I'll make sure too.
Well, also, Will, if all of a sudden you determine that you're going to take it off the posts and put it on the fencing,
Right on the fence there?
you're going to need to do a modification to the resolution.
Mm.
Right. No, we wouldn't do that. If anything, we would just move it inside the fence.
Okay.
If the need be. So it would be in the same location, just on one side or the other of the fence.
Okay. All right, Esperanza.
Okay, so I make a motion to approve the application as submitted, and making clear that the posts for each sign are going to be in clear cedar. The signs are 24 by 36 inches each. There's no lighting.
Did you say construction cedar?
Construction cedar.
Well,
Yeah,
he said it could be clear cedar or construction cedar. So which one?
No, he meant clear, meaning not stained or painted.
Okay.
Construction cedar.
Clear cedar is very expensive.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the only difference is the knots, really.
Not a problem. Construction cedar.
Right. Okay. But Esperanza, I think it would be better just to say a natural cedar.
Natural, yeah.
There you go. Covers everything. Thank you, Betsy. Natural cedar. Posts.
Okay. Can I get a second on that, Jonathan?
Yes.
All in favor, Diane?
Yes.
And Chip?
Yes.
And Betsy, yes. Okay, great. All right, thanks, Will. You're good to go.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Epic Insurance Brokers and Consultants, tax map number 300-166-4-20457 Montauk Highway in East Hampton. Matt, we're looking for Nancy Bala, and when she comes on, Diane, if you'll read into the record what this is for, please.
Yes.
Just let me make a mention that the person has been signing on, but this is the second time they've left. I'm not sure if there's a bad connection, but they have been in a waiting room, but now they're not.
All right, well,
Maybe they'll come back.
The record, and we'll see if she comes back on. If not, we'll circle back to it after.
Okay, this is an application for 3 signs to go on the building next to Franey Wine. And they're intending to replace the existing signs. They have given,
David, if you can go to some of the photographs that.
Yeah, to the photographs. They've given very implicit dimensions for Pierre Franey's sign, but not their own signs, which makes me think, and from observing the visuals, that they intend to follow the same pattern, the same size of signs. There's the sign on the building. You see, they've given very explicit dimensions for that. And then on their own sign, they have a crazy dimension of 426 inches. In fact, from column to column, which is what I measured, from the outside to the outside, it's 168 inches. So 426 inches, who knows what that is. But it doesn't pertain to this sign. And it's, but my understanding, they intend to create their sign, which they have shown us their logo, in the same spatial parameter as Franny.
Right.
And if that's the case, if that is the case, everything seems to be fine as far as size is concerned. There's directional signs. There is a double directional sign to be replaced. I'm not sure, is there a picture of that? There it is, yes. And that's 18 inches high and 48 inches wide, or wait, I have that. No, 6 feet wide. So each of those signs are 9 square feet. And I think the one above the door is going to be about 8 or 10 square feet. So they're within their allowable space. The thing that's probably the most unclear is the lighting. And I submitted some pictures only today of this configuration of lighting now.
Diane, can I ask you one question?
There they go.
Yeah, can I ask you one question? When you measured the column to column, what did you say it was, like 100 and something?
168 inches is from the outside of the.
So
yeah.
On the application, it says proposed 10. So that's probably, you're right, it's probably 10 square feet. So
Yeah.
we'll assume that that's what it is. And then that other 426, we won't mention that. And actually, if you could just put an X on that on your copy in your file, so that the staff, when they're doing the resolutions, knows that that is incorrect.
Okay, and I have put the inches of the totality there.
Okay,
So
great.
okay, so now we think the signs are going to be all right, but this lighting, it looks a little ancient, and they're going off in all directions. This one is more or less facing the sign. The other one is very askewed. Yeah, and this one is facing nowhere. It's facing out into outer space. So,
so it's not dark sky compliant.
Yeah, they don't look particularly dark sky compliant. I mean, it would seem to me that
The lighting has
the
to-
building at the other, to the east, which is unoccupied, has the same kind of those blue lights that Franny has.
Like the goosenecks?
Yeah, those big goosenecks. I wonder if they wouldn't. It wouldn't make sense for them to invest in the same thing.
Huh? Yeah. Like, I mean, the Cook Marin people. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
the
we're now going to be
Cook
Epic
Marin
Insurance.
is becoming Epic.
It's becoming Epic Insurance brokers and consultants.
Right. Let me ask a question. If you go to the rendering that they submitted, that area above is white, where on your photographs, I believe it looks like it's brick, or is it painted red?
It's
You mean
It's
like this
been
area
painted-
right there?
Yes, yes. It's different than the photographs. So I'm wondering
Yeah.
if you're changing that upper to white, and that if they had white.
this is their photographs.
Right, so look at your photographs.
Yeah,
Now, I don't know if it's just a weird thing for the rendering.
it looks like it's been painted over, but it wasn't a very solid paint job, and it's sort of bleeding through.
Well, let's look at Diane's. No, see, it is red.
That's
and it's
stucco.
It's blue and red.
Yeah, stay
That's
right.
what it looks like now, but that is
Right, so then if you go to their rendering, they're painting the background of the sign white where it's
White.
blue, and where it's red up above, they're painting it white.
white.
So we need to get this clarified. Do we have any, is Nancy on?
Well, sorry. And also, I mean, like the Frenet, it looks like they're changing their signage. I'm not quite clear. Are they changing their signage also?
I don't. Well, that's not before us, or has nothing to do with this.
Yeah, well, I'm just asking because they're indicating it so much as if that was coming.
I thought they were using it as a, we're going to make it coalesce with Franny. That's why I thought
they're providing completely different renderings from what exists. That's why I'm asking.
And right, and they have actual signage, measurements on their renderings.
Yeah. And as if all of this, the building were going to be painted gray and
what's up with this?
Yeah, what's up with this?
So what's up with that?
It looks like a big change to commercial is what's up with that.
If Nancy's not on, we're gonna just hold this off to the side. If she is she on, Matt?
She is not. And if I may interrupt for another second, we have a caller on the line by the caller ID of Constance Vavale. I don't know what.
Let's see if she's with the applicant.
Okay.
The only name we have is Nancy.
Okay, I'm going to unmute the last 4 digits of 5458.
You know, Diane.
No, I'm not with the applicant. I'm not with the applicant.
That's for Anthony Hallander.
I'm waiting for the 9 Wills Point Road hearing.
Diane, look at your real quick, just look at your file where it shows the building with the brick. It says, she's handwritten on it, existing front.
Yeah.
Existing.
And proposed.
And then it has this, the whole domain thing. So I think Esperanza's right in her looking at this, that they're looking to do a whole different thing, unless maybe they're just coming before us right now for a sign.
I think they may think that
they don't need our
facade only needs approved. Yeah, the sign.
Proposed. I mean, proposed. The only thing they have proposed is on their logo, which has absolutely no dimensions or nothing else. And the red brick, the whole building says existing, and that's the.
Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to hold this off to the side. I don't want to table it yet. And if she comes back, we'll hold her until we finish up what we're working on, and then we'll come back.
Okay.
All right. So let's move to fences, walls, gates, and berms. Stephen Selman, tax map number 4 Camberley Road in Springs. We would be looking for Chris.
Huh? Chris?
For New Sunshine Custom Builders, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Matt, are you with us? Oh, there's Chris. Hi, Chris.
Hi, guys. I'm here.
Good. Thank you for joining us. Jonathan, if you could read into the record what this is for and explain where we're at today with what Chris has supplied us with.
Yeah. This is a proposal that we've looked at before. It's for fencing around part of the house, especially down the side of Underwood Drive right now, where they are proposing to move the fence that they have up there, the picket, what is it? That vertical.
It's 6 foot stockade fencing.
6 foot stockade fencing. Thank you. Which is now on the property line, 8 feet back from the property line. Relocate it there and put plantings in front of the property.
Okay.
Fence.
So Jonathan, Chris, why don't you tell the board what you're planning to do with the screening and the fencing along Underwood Drive?
Okay, so this is the original plan that we submitted, but then we adjusted it to get rid of some vines that was agreeably more invasive than
No,
I
this is
thought they
the
were.
adjustment one. Yeah.
That looks like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll move the fence back and square it up along the back side of it so it doesn't go beyond the rear property fence, and plant a bunch of green arborvitaes that'll, they're called green giants, and the deer do not eat them. And we'll create, a nice wood line there, mixing in with the natural trees that are still growing, and actually hide it from the street view.
Very nice.
And give a little more privacy in the future to the customer when they grow a lot taller than the 6-foot fences.
Right. And what height are they going to be?
Well, we found some that were starting at between 4 and 5. There's there's going to be quite a bit that are at 6 to 7 foot range.
They grow very quickly.
And then they grow within 6 to a foot 1 year, 6 inches to a foot in a
So
year.
you'll have the two different sizes staggering, and which is nice, and it won't look like a wall of tree. It will have more of a
That's what I figured. Some will look like saplings, some will look like fully grown. And it'll really.
Is it fully grown, like 15 or 20 feet or something?
Well, you know what I mean. Yeah. Normally, when people put them in, they're 7 foot to start with because they're looking for that. But
There's a real shortage of arborvitae this year, so you're lucky to get 4 or 5 or 6 feet one.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jonathan, what we could do, unless anybody has any questions for Chris or Jonathan or myself on this, we could make a motion to approve the application as modified with the October 27th survey showing the 8-foot fencing being moved back from the property line, and then the landscape plan, okay?
Did you say 8 foot?
8 feet from the property line.
Yeah, it's 6-foot stockade.
6-foot fence, 8 foot from property line.
Yeah,
Right.
got it.
All right, Jonathan, go ahead and make a motion.
I move that the board approves the proposal, the application as proposed, with the fence moved back off the property line 8 feet, with arborvitae plantings in front between the property line and the fence.
Please add that it's along Underwood Drive.
Yeah. Along, I forgot where I was, but along Underwood Drive.
Right. Yeah, you did it. Okay. Can I get a second, Esperanza?
Second.
All in favor? Chip?
Yes.
Diane?
Aye.
And Betsy? Aye. Okay. All right, Chris, you're good to go.
Thank
Good
you
luck.
very much. You guys
You're
are going to
welcome.
see some
Thank you for
improvement next
working
week.
with us. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate your time. Have a good night.
You too. Okay.
All right.
I'm going to check in with Matt. And is there anyone from Epic Insurance?
No, there is not.
All right, I'm going to move on to Jeffrey Maslow, tax map number 300-87-1-21201 Old Montauk Highway in Montauk. And I'd be looking for Joe Halsey and or Jeffrey Maslow.
Joel is signed in.
Joel with Lighthouse Land Planning.
Good evening, board. I don't know if you can hear me.
We can.
Yep. I'm unfortunately using a computer with no air. The computer I'm not used to using, so I'm hoping it's working. So that's great.
Well, David's doing the same, and he's doing a pretty good job. So.
Okay, great.
Okay, I'm just going to read into the record what this is for. This is an application that's been before us for a 6-foot solid vertical panel electric sliding gate that is on the north side of Montauk Highway and very visible when you're traveling west to east. And when you're coming east to west, it's not so visible because of the topography. This is a very steep, if we can get some pictures while I'm talking, it's a very steep driveway. There you go. Pick up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But there you go. So this was installed without ARB approval.
Yeah.
And they were before us. I believe Mr. Maslow joined us the last time they were before us. Joel has since put it on the agenda a few times, and we had to table it. And I just have a couple questions, Joel, because Joel has submitted more ideas about how, for the board to consider what they can and can't do with this. One of the suggestions was for them to cut this down to 4 feet, and we would, they would not need ARB approval. Of course, we always suggest that maybe, opening it up so it's not a solid wall of wood. And there's also some 6-foot deer fencing that is along the property facing Old Montauk Highway, as you can see there, which again does not have ARB approval. So Joel has, I'm going to hand it over to him, but I want to just ask a couple questions because some of the things that you've pointed out, Joel, started making me think about this. There are 2 entities that are involved with Mr. Maslow in the gate. There's the Laurel Group, and then there is the Gold Coast Construction Company. Can you tell me and the board who designed the gate, who was responsible for the gate, who built the gate, and who did not mention to the property owner that this needed ARB approval?
So the gate was designed by the Laurel Group and was built by Gold Coast.
And is the Laurel Group a local East Hampton town
I
licensed
believe they're in Watermill. They're located in Watermill.
Mm-hmm. Do they have a license to with the East Hampton town?
They are landscape designers. I do not believe they're contractors. So it wouldn't be a license.
Well, what about then the building company?
I do not know 100% for sure if Gold Coast would be a licensed contractor, but I guess they were under the impression that they didn't need a building permit for this, which is, this was not told by me. Obviously, if it was 4 feet high, they wouldn't have needed a building permit. Being the fact that it was over 4 feet high, obviously it needs a building permit. So no building permit was ever gotten for the fence either. So if a building permit wasn't needed, I can't guarantee that the contractor who built it was actually a licensed contractor in East Hampton. I'd have to double check into that for you.
Yeah, because, the property owner can make a complaint to the town that whoever constructed this either did or did not have a license to do the work, nor did they advise them with regards to our town code.
That is correct.
I'm feeling that some of your presentation, in the way that I read it, felt like that you were putting the onus on the ARB to approve this, when in fact the onus is on the owner and the people who constructed this not to put up an illegal gate.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now that I will get off my soapbox and I will tell you that you can present to the board all the different, things that are on the table. And I just want to thank you and Mr. Maslow for really doing a lot of work and really coming up with different ideas and solutions that could potentially, please the board. Okay.
Thank you. The property owner, Jeffrey Maslow, he was on earlier. He did have to leave for work. Obviously he's not going off to work, but he had a conference call or something of the other. He did want to discuss these options tonight with you, but again, unfortunately, he had other engagements. He has been going back and forth with many iterations of what he would like to do with this. Obviously, with regards to the multiple versions that we have submitted over the past few months for your review, we have submitted a fence that removed every third.
Wait, excuse me, Joel, I want to explain something. Every time that you postpone, we do not review this. So the board is only seeing all those suggestions or renderings tonight for the first time. We have
Okay, great.
this.
Oh,
The last time you were before us, which was quite some time ago, we just looked at this. There was discussion about that it needed to be rectified, that the board was not willing to approve this as built. Okay.
Understood. Okay, that's good to know. So,
and also, wait, one more thing. David, as Joel's going through, we'll be looking for his renderings, okay? All right.
So the first rendering was to remove every third post to bring the gate, to make the gate more open. And at first he liked that idea, but then he didn't like it. Mr. Maslow didn't like that idea. So
wait, please. Let's see if David can find that. It's in there, David, in the renderings that have been submitted.
It's in the fold where it says Maslow Gate. It's not this. Maslow Gate. Where is that?
That's not there.
I have a different one than you have.
Oh, there it is. There
I see it right there.
Yep. Ooh,
right?
Yes.
Horrible.
That was to kind of bring the board had issues with the gate looking like a solid wall, so we were going to open it up a little bit. And that was kind of his initial, let's get back to the board because we don't want to, annoy you guys by leaving this too long. So I submitted that to the board, and then he had, second thoughts of, the fact that he didn't really like the way that this looked. And, obviously, it kind of looks like a mishmash half-built gate.
An orange crate.
Right. So David, let's go to we'll take them one by one. Okay. So this is what it looks like now. Oh, go ahead. This is the landscape plan. Go ahead.
So this is a rendering of the landscape plan. He would like to, he'd like to leave the gate as is. This has I think a picture of the older gate. The gate has since weathered. It's not as, in your face with the original color. It is weathered.
Excuse me, Joel, I just want to clarify that because you mentioned that a couple times in your writings, and I've been out there yesterday as well as the week before, and you're right, it is this is when it originally went up last year, and then that photograph that you have there, or that rendering, it is more like that. It is not any more grayer than what you're showing in that landscape rendering.
So it hasn't changed?
It's a little bit lighter than from this winter picture, David, if you can scroll up to that one. But you see, it still presents more of a mahogany. It does not present as a grayed off.
Weathered gray. Okay.
Yeah, weathered gray cedar.
And there, so his and this was done in conjunction with the Laurel Group, was to design a fence. Obviously coming from the east heading west, you won't see this gate at all. Heading west from the east, this gate, the gate pops out at you. So his next thought was to, screen it. And in this situation, we've submitted a few pictures where the gate is screened from the road. I don't believe that this is all the screening pictures. This might be the first of the designs. There should be some more pictures from October 11th, I think it was. The picture.
What happened to the 4-foot one?
Well, there is and that was.
We're not there yet.
Sorry.
We haven't gotten the 4-foot yet.
We're just looking at the screening. We're going to take them one by one.
And David, you're doing a stellar job.
The one picture I think that Joel is referencing has more than one of the, arborvitae or Leland, whatever that is, cypress. It has like multiples. It's a later file than this, David. Because the ones we were just looking at was from back in July, the end of July. These would be more from October 11th.
Maybe it's not up there. It's probably not up in the bottom.
No, just give us a time.
There it is, right there. I believe that was it.
Yeah, can you flip them around?
I don't have that.
No,
This is the neighbor's gate. If you go to the previous picture, please. Right there.
right there.
There it
See,
is.
it has like three very large arborvitae type of things. I think there's like two, is it 2 rows?
And there's 2 rows there, and this is kind of a rendering of how it would look from the, heading east from the west.
Right. But once you pass that sight line, you do see the gate in its full glory.
Correct.
Well,
And again, we will be allowing the gate to lighten the color. We will not be staining it anymore, and it'll revert to more of a natural wood color.
Right. And then, David, there's another file that was submitted after this, which shows the 4-foot gate cut down. I mean, the 6-foot gate cut to 4. There's 2 photos. One shows it lower, and you can see. No, those are my photos, not those. Check that. No, those are mine.
That's across the street.
Those are mine that I took yesterday. So there should be, because I asked Nora if she had them, and she said yes. Nope.
Well,
No, there was the whole file that you had pulled up. Let's off of the smart board, David.
Is it that? No.
No, what I'm saying is it's not on the OneDrive. I asked her if she could put that in, but I don't think she did, unless it's behind. What's behind the letter?
This is what we were just looking at.
All right, and is there another letter that was submitted a few days after that one? No? No. Darn, because this is very important.
what the heck?
And do you have it, Jonathan? You see it?
No, I don't have anything that's not up already.
Okay.
All right. David, can I ask you a question? Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Is it possible for you to go to the smart board that was uploaded in the preview meeting? Because it's definitely in there.
No, Betsy.
You don't?
I cannot access that.
I thought she said that she was giving you both.
She uploaded the previous applications for what she thought was, everything that's on tonight. So.
Oh, can you go back to that screenshot that you just showed with all the files? That. Let me just
That's
look.
the one I just shared that.
Who did?
I did. That's the 4-foot gate.
Where?
You want to share your screen, Joel?
That's what we want.
Oh, maybe I'm. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
Who can see what? I can't see anything.
Number 9.
This is all of our files on the.
Number 9 is what we were just looking at, Jonathan.
Right. That's oh really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Joel,
So
can you share your screen?
I'm trying to. This is a little bit out of my league. I've. Oh wait, hold your screen. It says I'm
Excuse me 1 second, Dave. You're gonna have to stop so that Joel can put his screen up.
There it is.
No,
we were looking at this.
we just saw
No,
this.
that's it.
Oh, that's it?
Please look.
Oh, okay. Got
You
it.
can see the driveway above the gate.
Yeah.
That would be if the gate was cut to 4 feet. If you scroll down one, who's operating this, Joel? You're brilliant.
Okay.
No, this is David.
That's it. It's 6 feet. Properties that overlook the south side of the highway, and they have water views. I don't recall anybody saying anything that they had a problem with the driveway. I actually think it's more open, and I think it presents properly. And to Mr. Maslow, he was concerned about his children or his grandchildren who were younger, that they're up on top of the hill on bikes and things like that. And that's why he put the gate, because he didn't want them to be able to roll down, playing and go into the highway. So I have no problem with him putting a gate there.
Why couldn't he have put it up at the top then? Oh, gee.
Well, what I have a problem with is the fact that, it was installed without, any concern about the area. And, it's a solid 6-foot gate. The other thing I'm going to bring up right now is the other gate that we showed that you had presented. That was something that the board approved like 3 years ago, right? It was like 2018 or 19. Correct. And it's a different location in that it's not on a very steep driveway. It's tucked down. There was a lot of fencing and issues, approval, or they don't know the codes or they don't care about them. So this was done in a manner where they didn't know that they had to put this up. We understand it, but it's a very massive, very solid 6-foot gate. In your lettering, in your letter, you mention about it costing $33,000 to reduce the gate to 4 feet, which I found to be astronomical. And reading through the letters from the Laurel Group, it has nothing to do with reducing the gate. It has to do with moving the gate further north and that there's some kind of retaining walls. So I don't know what the price would be to reduce this to 4 feet. But again, the onus is not on the ARB. The onus is on the contractor and the applicant to get this into compliance. So I'm gonna open this up to the board, and I'm gonna ask them to make comments based on the landscaping plan that you presented, based on the open design that you presented, and based on cutting this down to 4 feet or leaving it and approving it as is. So I'm going to start with our Vice Chair Esperanza.
So obviously, if it were at 4 feet, we would not have to review it. I would hope that it might be screened anyway. I do think this, it looks like it's an entrance to a hotel, frankly. So but 4 feet is acceptable. Not ideal, but acceptable.
Chip? No, let me go to Diane.
Well, if it's 4 feet, we have no.
Yeah, 4 feet, we don't have to talk about it.
Right? They can have it as a right. Yeah. But since they've gone this far and since they've heard our opinions, perhaps they would consider continuing with the screening and keeping it at 4 feet. Wendy?
Chip?
Well, I can't remember any case where we tried to mitigate the size of a gate by over landscaping the driveway. It seems like a very odd way to solve this problem. I think 6 feet looks terrible. It's very, very prison-like. 4 feet, they don't even need to talk to us. We could go to 4.5 or 5 feet if that would appease the applicant, but certainly not anything more than 5 feet. And that's how I think about it.
Why 5 feet?
Why would you even want to suggest that?
Why would if it's going to be cut down.
But yeah.
Well, I'm trying to find a middle ground here because we seem to be at opposite ends of the spectrum with this application.
Well, that's why I'm polling the board. And so far, we have 2 people that feel it should be cut to 4. You're saying.
And then fine. I'm fine with cutting it to 4, and we don't even need to talk about it.
All right, Jonathan, is there anything else to add here?
I'm picturing riding my bike down the street here, and I see that it's 4 feet. I think it's fine. And I agree with Chip that we shouldn't really be talking about planning, trying to mitigate the fence. So the 4 feet is great.
All right. I would be reluctant to approve this at 6 feet, whether it's open, whether it as is, and or with screening. So we're going to you're hearing the board, and I can take a vote to make it official, but you're hearing that we're denying the application as presented.
Okay. I didn't really get to give any kind of presentation, but I've heard the board.
Well, Joel, I don't want you to feel that you didn't give a presentation. I think you went through.
Every time I made a sentence, I got cut off. It was pretty much that was the whole presentation of I didn't even get the one paragraph of my presentation.
Well, please.
I just got cut off the whole time.
No,
so I mean,
Joel,
if that's the way it's going to work, then that's completely understandable, and that's fine. I see the way you guys feel about this gate, and you guys don't want you don't want any kind of comparables to anything else you've approved. The black gate that was approved on East Lake Drive, it's like 6 feet high. The gate, you guys didn't approve the gate across the street, but this guy's getting into all the trouble because he's the one who's trying to do the right thing now and get his gate.
No, Joel, this is why I'm interrupting you, and why I wanted to keep.
There's 19 gates on this street that are over 6 feet high, and you're telling me that's not the character of this area. 19.
Joel, I'm gonna explain something. I'm gonna correct you on a few things. The gate across the street that you're referencing is not a driveway gate. It's some kind of landscape gate.
It's a driveway that goes to the property next door. I know, I've seen it.
Okay, all right.
And whether it's a landscape gate or a driveway gate, it's still a gate.
Joel, I am going to ask you to please let me finish. That gate is.
I wasn't able to finish all night.
That gate is measured because you're saying things that are just not true, Joel.
The gate across the street is a gate.
The gate across the street is a 7-foot high gate that does not have ARB approval. It never did, and it used to be an old, very weathered stockade gate that you really didn't see it when you were driving by, unless you were walking by and looked down a very heavily sort of woodsy environment. It doesn't have a paved road, it's grass. And since your gate went up across the street, they have now put up a brand new 7-foot gate, which is more visible from the road.
You were saying that gate went up second?
Excuse me?
Let's talk about this gate.
So, but the point being,
let's talk about the 19 gates on Old Montauk Highway that are over 6 foot.
Joel, I'm going to tell you this. I drive up and down that roadway all the time, and there are not 19 gates that are over 4 feet on that roadway. There may be 19 gates, but they're not all at 6 feet. And if they are, none of them, or not all of them, have ARB approval. I know a few gates along that roadway on the south side that do not have ARB approval. So, I would like for you to feel that you can talk to the board, but I just didn't want you to keep going down these rabbit holes that they are not factual and they're not comparative. So please, if you'd like to address the board before we take a vote, I would like for you to do so.
Yeah, I'd like to table it actually, please.
Okay, will do.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Howard Kaminsky and Lori Jill Schlossberg, tax map number 300-171-4-188 Hollyway, Amagansett. We're looking for Trevor, possibly, or somebody from Trevor Darrell.
They are linked in.
Nancy Marshall.
And I'd like you to feel that you can talk to the board, but I just didn't want you to
turn that off.
You have to mute your device. Sorry.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss it.
Hi, Nancy.
Hi. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. We're going to have Chip read this into the record, what this is for, and then we'll open it up.
Okay, thank you.
Good. This should be a very easy one. And we're looking at the picture on the far right. The other 3 pictures are neighboring pictures that are for another purpose. So we have looked at this application for a gate in both July and August. Hollyway is a short lane off Meeting House Lane in Amagansett. The house, as you can see, is under reconstruction. In August, we approved an open farm-style set of gates, maximum 5 feet, 5 inches tall, mostly 5 feet with the ends to sort of tick up on a triangle to 5.5 feet by the posts. We asked that the gate be installed 20 feet back from the pavement of the street for fire trucks. It's a very tight, it's not even a cul-de-sac, it's just a dead end. The applicant has submitted a new survey indicating that the gate will be installed 20 feet off the street. It has not yet been installed as we requested. I see no reason not to approve this as the applicant has stated.
Okay. Nancy, you want to say anything?
No, that just basically sums it up. As was said, we had it 10 feet in at the August hearing. You wanted it back more, which we understood. We put it back, so we hope to approve it.
Okay. I was looking at my paperwork. Did you show an image of the gate itself? David?
It's in the old file. Yeah, it's a farm gate that's open with the ends. Well, it's not the gate. It's not that. It's this gate. Yes.
That one, right.
And we approved a second version of this that was 5.5 feet. This is the earlier version.
Okay.
Correct.
So is there a rendering of it at 5.5 feet?
Yes. Well, I drew it in on my notes, but I do have a rendering of it. We drew it in. Someone drew it in. It was received August 18th.
Right. The plans we submitted indicate it's I have it right in front of me. On the sides, it's 5.5 feet, and in the main gate itself is 5 feet high.
Yeah, so there is a rendering.
Can you hold that up, Nancy, for us to see that?
Yeah, it's kind of what you had, but with the new. Do I have it in the right spot?
Yeah, that should have been submitted to the board.
It was.
But
Well, it's this gate. It's this gate at 5.5 feet total.
No, but we need to have the renderings corrected.
No, I have the rendering, Betsy. I have it. It's in the file somewhere.
Yeah, excuse me. No, yeah, we submitted that when we submitted the surveys for the August hearing, and you said that was acceptable, and you were happy with that. So that should be in your file. It's definitely submitted. We talked about that at the August. The one that shows what I'm showing, holding up now with the 5 feet in height.
Okay.
I have it, Betsy. I have it for the record.
Okay, but do you have it in your possession?
Yes, I'm holding it right in my hand. Yes.
Okay, great, perfect. Okay, thank you. All right, so go ahead, Chip.
So I make a motion that we accept this application as stated for the construction of a 5-foot 5-inch gates and post 20 feet off the roadway on 8 Holly Way.
Is it 5 feet 5 inches or 5 feet 6?
I'm sorry, 5 feet 6 inches, 5.5 feet.
Right. 20 feet back, right?
Yes.
Okay. Can I get a second, Esperanza?
No, I'd rather not.
Okay. Do you want to make any comment?
I'm just not I never have understood the need for this gate here in this cul-de-sac.
Okay. Diane?
That's okay with me.
Okay. Jonathan?
Second it, you mean?
Yeah.
All right, I'll second
I
it.
didn't ask for a second. So yes, I'm going to ask Jonathan to second it.
I second the motion.
All right. And Diane favored aye. And then,
yeah.
Okay. All right. Sorry about that. I'm just getting a little like. So you're good to go. Thank you very much, Nancy.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Daniel L. Sussman, modification, tax map number 300-80-2-1.2.4, 25 Landing Lane in East Hampton. And that would be Chip, and we are looking for Britton.
She is on.
I'm here.
Hi, Britton.
Good evening.
Hey, so for the record, I just want to state that 25 Landing Lane also appears to us in a previous application as 111 Old Stone Highway. It's a corner lot. They previously used the Old Stone Highway address. They're now using 25 Landing Lane address. So this is a very complicated application. It's to modify a 2007 application that the ARB approved for a wood mesh fence. The applicant states the wood mesh fence was taken to mean a wooden pair of gates and a mesh fence adjacent to them. The mesh fence in place now is an 8-foot high deer fence that totally encloses the area around the house. And as this house is on a corner, it goes across 2 front yards, a side yard, and a backyard. This 8-foot deer fencing is on 9-foot metal posts. Part of this fence needs to be moved back from the reason this is in front of us is the applicant has now applied to put in a swimming pool between the rear of the house and the wetlands that overlook Accabonac Harbor. The building department has told them that they need to move back this 8-foot deer fence back onto the property and a certain amount of feet away from the wetlands. Part of this deer fence that surrounds this property on 2 sides is in a 50-foot buffer zone, which is on the 2 street sides of the property. The bigger issue of this whole thing is that the driveway gates that are now in place, and they're 6 feet tall on 6'4" posts, are not on the survey we have. We don't have a current survey. And so I think this needs to be tabled and we need to see a new survey.
May I speak?
Sure. It's all yours, Britt.
Good evening. Let me just circle back on a few things. So, my client represented himself in 2007, 14 years ago, went to the ARB, received the ARB resolution I submitted. I did foil the rest of the file. It was back in the time when we didn't have great ARB files, so this is all I'm going off of. And the client's statement that he built what he had approved on this resolution. For whatever reason, when he went to the ARB, nobody recognized that it was within 150 feet to wetlands, so it needed an NRSP. It only came to light, as Chip pointed out, when they went to get a building permit for a pool, and they were told that they didn't have a building permit for the fence, just ARB, and that they also needed a natural resources special permit. And in its position where it was constructed, they needed a variance. So the application in front of you is to modify that 2007 approval to keep the fence 100 feet from wetlands. I also have to go to the zoning board for an NRSP because it's within 150 feet. And Chip and I had discussed the height when, to the best of my knowledge, this gate, I can tell you that this gate and this fence was built in its exact location in 2007, right after it got ARB approval. It does actually show on the survey, if you look at the where it says cattle grate, where it crosses the T's on cattle and grate, there's a different texture. That is precisely where the gate is. It's been on this property for 14 years, and this survey was, I can't see the bottom right-hand corner, but it's not that old of a survey.
No, this is a new survey, Britton, but on the 2007 survey that was in that file, it's handwritten in the gate, and there's also the cattle grate appears on that as well. So I don't know why it's not depicted on this one.
But it is. See where the texture changes over cattle grate? That's the gate.
No, but it should, Britain.
It should say gate. It
When
should
there's
say
a
gate.
gate, they say gate.
So that's a fence, Britton, right there. So that's, if you look up here, there's no, what's the difference?
I understand that. I'm happy to have him add the word, but if you could just zoom in on that, you'll see the texture of the fence is dash, 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 and the texture over the cattle grate changes. That is the symbolic of having a gate. So obviously it's a driveway. It's not a fence across the driveway.
Always use words when they point things out.
I think it's too, Britton, if it's correct, it's too subtle. It needs to state that the gate has been in that. No one looking at this survey would think there's a gate there.
Do you think that people would think that they could drive a car through a fence?
Well, and the side panels of the fencing on the opposite side of the gates are a structure. They're not deer fencing. So that needs to be identified on the survey as well.
There's a pedestrian gate, which is where the slate walkway is. There's a pedestrian gate there. And there's, I guess, 2.5 sections of fence on either side of this cattle grate, which was never approved.
Does somebody have what was actually approved? Because I foiled the file and what I got back was only the determination. So if I'm only getting partial files, that's all I'm working off of. But if somebody's seen the approval.
What are you saying, Chip? The pedestrian gate wasn't approved?
Yeah.
No,
there's a pedestrian gate there over that walkway where it says,
right.
where it says slate walkway, there's a pedestrian gate.
How tall is the pedestrian gate?
It's the same, it's 6 feet. It's built into the fencing. It's very subtle.
With all
but
due respect, how do we know what this determination was covering? Is there more, I'm just asking a simple question. Is there a survey or elevations that was not provided?
I don't know what you got in your FOIL response, Britton, but there is a handwritten, there is a survey that has handwritten markings on it.
For the gate and the wood fencing, it does. And then,
Yeah.
then when, it was hand drawn in, and then when they were updating the surveys over the course of time, and when it came to do this, pushback from the wetlands, they failed to catch it. That's all,
So I'm sorry, I use the word survey to mean an actual survey of what's on a property. There was a hand sketch.
It's a site plan, yeah, that's.
Yes, and it says 6 foot high wood fence and gates.
Right, but that gate is right equal where the buffer zone ends. Your gate is actually in the buffer zone. So the gate that's drawn in with sort of thick pencil is not the gate that was built. It's in a different location. This one rides the buffer zone. The one that's there now is in the buffer zone.
All right.
Okay, so if the board could just give me some direction.
Right.
I emailed you.
Hey, David, please, let's do this. Chip, outline for Britton and David what you found to be problematic with this. I don't think anybody has a problem, with you moving the fencing off the wetlands and bringing it further into where the building envelope is. But when Chip was out there, he noticed all these other things. And we can't give, a sort of ARB flat approval when there's stuff going on, that the survey isn't updated and the buffer. Chip, if you could go through your list, please, because you.
Well, the deer fencing is in the buffer zone. David, did you check on whether that's okay or not okay?
I don't
Britt,
believe
you were
that's
going to
okay.
check. What?
Yeah, we're going to wait for Eric to explain that issue to us, but.
Okay, so let's forget that for a second. As the property is a corner lot, we have 8-foot deer fencing on 9-foot poles on an old stone highway, and we have it on Landing Lane. So that's
Chip, let me just stop you for a second. When you and I spoke, I told you that I had measured in the field that the gate was 6'4" and the deer fencing was 7'8". And we got different measurements. I think you went further in and maybe it gets taller. But when you and I spoke, I said we have no problem requesting that the fence be 7'8" and no more, and that we would cut that down. So we don't even need to talk about it being over 7'8" because that's not what I'm asking for.
So you're going to cut it down to what, 6 feet? I went through the property, Britton. I went through the property today in detail. I went in, as you gave me the code, I measured the deer fencing on every single side. And on every single side, it's 8-foot deer fencing with 9-foot high poles. So, I am very positive of my measurements here because I did it in a couple of places. So that's one issue, the deer fencing. It's too tall, particularly if you have 2 front yards.
But I can seek your approval to make it consistently no higher than 7'8", which is, I'd like to state for the record, my request is to make nothing taller than 7'8".
Well, where's the 7'8" come from? Why 7'8"? We are not allowed to put deer fencing above 6 feet in front yards.
There was the existing measurement that I took adjacent to the driveway gate.
Oh, God.
But that's not, it doesn't matter if you took it or not. We're not allowed to have fencing over 6 feet in front yards, and you have 2 front yards here.
We're not approving any deer fencing over 6 feet in a front yard?
Yes.
That's a board decision because it's not in the code.
It is the code.
That is in the code.
It is the code. This is the we've operated for the last 2 or 3 years.
The code is that by right, you can have 4 feet of any type of fencing and gates in your front yard. Anything over 4 feet needs ARB approval up to 6, and we can't approve anything above 6 feet in the front facing a yard. And you have Landing Lane and Old Stone Highway as your front yards, and you have either 7'8" fencing or 8-foot fencing.
Okay,
on 9-foot poles.
I'd like to table this and potentially have a discussion with David. My understanding was that there is an administrative deer fencing that can be between 6 and 8 feet that only goes through the building department if it meets certain specifications.
Yes, it's called the deer fence exemption.
Right. So I find it hard to believe you can get an exemption to build 6 to 8 foot fence and not go to the ARB. But if you go to the ARB, you can't build over 6 feet.
Because there are different
The property has to be less than 50% enclosed for it to apply.
Which it is.
Which it is.
Which it is. I meet
Less than
that
50%
exemption other than the existing materials. So I could just
So
change.
why don't we table it? You can have the survey fixed, and then you and I can go and see if that, maybe you can avail yourself of the exception and you don't have to come back for the deer fencing.
But we recognize that that's sort of silly that you're exempting the zoning board review and you can allow 6 to 8 feet through the building department, but the ARB, if you go through the process, doesn't allow you over 6. It just doesn't, I can't wrap my head around that.
Britain. We told you what the code is. There is a deer fence exemptions, but there's other things that fall into play, and we could go through them now if you'd like. I'd be more than happy to pull out my notes and do that. David, can you pull that up from your phone and just read what the deer fence exemption is?
With all due respect, I'm very familiar with it. I will meet offline with David, and I'd like to table this for the moment.
Right, but
I mailed you the whole contents of the 2007 file, so you
which
should
is
have.
great that my FOIL didn't.
No, I'm just saying that you got a complete FOIL response. Now you have a complete FOIL response.
Thank you. Let me just be clear. If we do reduce the height, just to not waste this trip to the ARB, or is the board leaning towards once the height resolution is and the survey shows where the man gate is there any problem with the gate that's installed or having deer fencing?
No, because the gate that's installed, you have approval for. It's 6 feet. If it's a few inches over, we have the ability to, be lenient there. It's called like a contractor's leeway or something along that line. We have no problem with the gate and the wood fencing. What we have a problem with is it's not on the survey. And what we have a problem with is that you have higher than 6 foot fencing on the front facing part of Landing Lane and Old Stone Highway, which says Springs Amagansett Road, and that some of it's in the buffer. So we can table this and then you can go through this with David, if you want.
So let me just be clear. If we cut the fence down to 6 feet and it matches the approval, nobody's confirmed that there's the buffer exempts fencing. So we can't confirm that as an issue.
We're waiting for Eric to tell us, and he's out sick. I mean, Eric knows the most about this.
Right.
Who's Eric?
Eric Planning Board.
You know who he is.
Okay. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I just didn't know he was involved with the ARB.
Yeah, he's the judge.
He's the expert on buffer zones, Britain. So that's why we're asking him.
Because it falls under planning. So, it's not something that ARB would know if that fencing in the buffer zone is allowed or not, but it is allowed at 6 feet because your 2007 resolution, vague as it is, says that you can have this gate and 6 foot deer fencing.
So if the deer fencing is cut down to 6 feet and we confirm the buffer fencing is not an issue, do I need to come back to the ARB?
Well, let me just, Britain, in the 2007 survey, the mesh deer fencing rides on the buffer line zone. It's not in the buffer zone. It rides on the buffer line zone. Someone wrote it in. So you didn't put the deer fencing where you were supposed to. You put it, most of it is outside of the buffer zone.
So let me just rephrase that. If I cut the fence down and it matches the 2007, cut it down to 6, it matches it precisely, can I come to this board for a final inspection?
Once we determine the issue of the buffer zone.
I think we would have to make a modification to the application with regards to moving the fencing in the back by the wetlands. Right, David? To modify that, because the resolution was based on it being drawn out on a survey, and now they're changing where the fencing is in the back. I don't think anybody has a problem with you moving it out of the wetlands.
No, that's not.
I'll just table this and meet with David, and we'll get it straightened out.
Okay.
It seems to be mostly legal and planning and issues.
Perfect.
Well, other than the fact that they, instead of a 6 foot fencing in the 2 street areas, they have 8 foot fencing or 7.
But that was what 6 foot was approved by this board.
Yes. But 6 foot is not there. It's 8, it's 7 or 8.
With 9 foot posts.
With 9 foot posts.
Wait, which I offered to cut down. So we're going in circles. I'm happy to table this and I'll come back to the board.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
I have other applications. The next ones.
All right, but I want to do one thing really quick. I want to see if because we had someone way before you that we weren't able to pull up. Just give me 1 second. Matt, is Nancy from Epic on? Have you found her?
Okay, the name is not appearing, but there is a phone number that I do not recognize in the waiting room. Would you
Right,
like
can
me
you
to?
find out if they're for the Epic Insurance for a business
Okay,
line?
stay tuned, please.
Thank you. And Britton, all I want to do is tell them to hang in there and then we'll jump back to you. I wasn't going to take the application before yours, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so the phone number is up and they are in.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi, who am I speaking with?
This is Nancy Balla.
Hi, Nancy. We couldn't find you when you came up on the agenda. We're just finishing up with one more thing. So one more application. So we'll come back to you in a few minutes, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Don't go anywhere, please. Okay, all right, great.
Okay.
Where am I going? To Ronald Lauder? Britton?
Yes.
Is she there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, Ronald Lauder, tax map number 300-200-1-15.8, 115 Wainscott Main Street in Wainscott. Diane, can you read into the record what this is for?
Yes, this is an application for a proposed clear red cedar painted white 4-foot 6-inch gate and fence. Let's look at the survey and the photographs. Now, as Britton explained to me today, maybe she would be better to explain it to you now about this this piece of fronting on Wainscott Main Street that was the fire department and now it's part of this property.
Mm-hmm. Correct. At the time of the survey, in the bottom left-hand corner, it says now land finally over the Bridgehampton Fire District. The client has purchased that and it is part of this parcel.
And it's part of this parcel. Okay, so now this is another property on Wainscott Main Street, and we have a second one at 92.
No, I want to just focus on this one first because I
all right, but well,
one at a time. And if you could identify which fence goes with this one, because they submitted 2 on each application.
Well, and
they're both the applications. I mean, honestly, I don't know if you can do that, but they're the exact same applications for properties diagonally across the street from one another. So
I understand.
I would imagine that the board is going to be consistent in their review.
It's going to be yes, absolutely. And there are other gates and fences on Wainscott Main Street that have the same sort of charm. They have already set a precedent on Wainscott Main Street of this discrete board fencing and tasteful pillars and gates. It all feels like it's part of the atmosphere almost.
Can you identify for me either Diane or Britton on these 2 drawings for these 2 proposed gates? Both of these different style gates are going to be going on 115 Main. And can you tell us where
this one is to go on 115 where there is no gate now. Right now there is a at least 50-foot, maybe 100-foot setback where you see the house. I took more pictures where you have a better sense of the space.
Those might be in the other application.
Okay, so this one without the heart, right? The one that's why this is confusing. So
there's 2 gates on each property. One is for driveways and one's for people. So there's one driveway gate and one pedestrian gate on 92, one driveway gate and one pedestrian gate on the 115, and they're all the same gates.
Okay, so I'm looking at the the survey for 115, I believe. Let me just double check.
Yes, that's correct. That's 115, the north.
Right.
The 115 is the barn complex, and the 92 is the house across the street.
I see on this has a swimming pool, right? We're all looking at the same thing. There's
Yes.
2 gates in the back where there's fencing. Are those part of the fencing? I'm just trying to understand where these wooden gates are located.
They're proposing this board fencing, and they're also proposing picket fencing. And if David
The picket
could show my
fencing
pictures, you can
is not
see
within
that.
the jurisdiction. It's the only thing I'm seeking approval for is the board fence, the pedestrian gate, and the driveway gate closest to Wainscott, Maine.
And what about this proposed picket fence?
It's under 4 feet.
Oh, it's under 4 feet. Okay.
4 feet.
I'm
Or
just
it's
trying to understand on this survey where these 2 gates are going, please. That's all I'm trying to understand. Are they marked?
A driveway gate
Yes.
goes over the driveway, proposed 15-foot wide gate.
Okay.
And the man gate goes over the proposed 4-foot wide gate at the west.
So that proposed 4-foot gate is going to be 4.5 feet, correct?
No, she said
It's
it's
4
under.
foot in width.
And height?
I think the pillars are 4'6",
The gate is
right?
shorter than, the gate is shorter than 4 feet. I mean, sorry, the gate's shorter than 4 feet, but the pillars are just over 4 feet. I have to open up.
Just over 4 feet, but the gate is under 4
Okay,
feet.
so this is the driveway gate at 4.5 feet tall at the highest point.
3'6". 3'6", it says.
Yes, the gate's 3'6" and the pillar is 4'6" at
Okay,
the top.
so its total is 4.6. And then the other rendering, and this is the driveway gate, the other rendering, David, if you can go to it, it's in that file. It would have been right after that one. The image that you just had. If
This
you
one, this one.
No.
Yes.
No,
If you scroll down. It says 2 of 6. Can you scroll down after that, David, the drawing?
Okay, these are,
It's the house side.
It doesn't appear that you have the pedestrian gate in that file.
Okay, well, I have the rendering and to the top of the pillars is 4.5 inches.
Perhaps it's in the 115 file? Sorry, 92 file?
That's what we're at right now.
Where we are.
The other file.
That's where we were.
Okay, well, but on your survey, it says proposed 4-foot wide gate, but it doesn't say the height. Okay, all right. I don't
Because
have
I submitted a drawing.
Yeah,
that showed
I don't have a
they're
problem.
3'6" and 4'6" to the top.
Okay, I don't have a problem with this. Does anybody have any questions for Diane or for Britton?
So the house we're looking at now, the pedestrian gate's going to match the fencing at same height, and then the driveway gate's going to match the fencing, same height as the top
No,
of the fencing, right?
the pedestrian gate has a more decorative element to it. That's why maybe when we go to the next file, we might be able to see it in that. Okay.
I don't know why we can't see it. I have these renderings in both files.
Right, but maybe.
Clear as day. It's very charming. It's very romantic.
I just want
That's
to
fine.
I just want to remind the board and the applicants that we can't combine, 2 properties. So we have to, because resolutions are going to be done for each tax map number. That's why we have to review these separately. So let's go ahead.
And I submitted duplicate copies to each file and separate applications and separate fees.
But obviously they're not in this file. So why don't we do this? Diane, why don't you make a motion to approve the application for 115, and we'll go to the next one, and maybe they'll be in that file.
Can I ask one question first before we vote?
Mm-hmm.
There are 2 different fences and gates.
Yeah.
And does that mean that we're approving both or one of them?
No, we're going to approve them individually for 115 on the north side of Wainscott Main Street and 92 on the south.
Yes, we're approving both gates for each property, and
Yeah.
each gate is 4.5 feet tall in its highest measuring point on the post.
Okay, well, why are we approving 2 gates for each property?
Because that's what they're asking. And right now in our file, in this digital file, we don't have the other rendering. It might be in the next file when we go to
So
that.
that means that they can choose which one to use?
No.
But they're identical. They're identical.
They are not identical. The pedestrian gate is different than the driveway gate.
No. I meant the 2 driveway gates and the 2 pedestrian gates.
This is so confusing. We should just look at these separately. This is ridiculous.
It's not confusing at all. I don't know why it's being
It's the same you're going back and forth between the 2 properties. That's why.
Because they're requesting, they want a driveway gate in each property, the same driveway gate that blends in with the neighborhood and the rest of their properties. They want 2 pedestrian gates.
That have
pedestrian gates are identical.
And we
don't have the pedestrian gates.
Hasn't that the picture with the?
Hold it up, please.
So adorable.
Please.
They're hand-drawn, beautiful rendering.
Pick it up a little bit more to up. Yeah, there it is. See, it's a little bit different. It has like a little.
I can't see anything because you're talking. I'm sorry. This is so silly.
I can't believe that, David, you don't have this one, the gate with the heart. It's because it's in both of my files.
All right, Diane, make a motion to approve the application and we'll go on to the next one and then it will show up.
Okay, wonderful. I make a motion to approve the application as presented for 115 Wainscott Main Street.
Can I get a second, Esperanza?
I'll second it.
Please.
Thank you, Chip. Esperanza, all in favor?
I'll vote yes. I just think that we ought to say that there's not 8 gates going here. There's 4 gates. 2 of them are driveway gates and 2 of them are pedestrian gates. And the driveway gates are one look and the pedestrian gates are the other look. Is that what we're voting on?
Yes, but
Yes, that's what's indicated in the application.
There's 2 different applications because they're 2 different properties. So we're doing the
That's a
first
separate issue.
I really don't get what's going on here.
I don't understand why it's complicated.
Jonathan, what are you not understanding? There's 2
I just said what I think is going on. If that's fine, it's fine.
It is. Jonathan has it correct. He has it correct. Yes.
But they're not 2 driveway gates. There's 2 separate properties. One has a driveway gate.
I understand that. I understand that.
Okay, good. All right. So I have everyone and myself, Esperanza, where are you on this?
I'd rather not see driveway gates.
Yeah, well, it's another thing.
Well, if she took the caps off, then they wouldn't need our approval.
I know. That's.
But the caps are charming. They're charming.
And they exist already on the, on the pillars and on the street. And they couldn't look more natural.
No, it's up to Esperanza how she wants to vote.
It's going to pass anyway, so I'd rather say no.
Okay. All right. So you're good to go on that one. Now we're going to go to 92. All right. Let me just read it into the record, please. Tax map number 300-200-2-28-.3, 92 Wainscott, Maine. And David, if you could look in the files for this one, we might be able to come up with that pedestrian gate image. And if
That's
not,
it. It's just, we'll go through everything that's uploaded for it. There's 6 items, and it doesn't look like there's anything different.
Well, then it was uploaded incorrectly.
It was uploaded incorrectly because I have it in both of my files.
I do too. Okay. All right. Go ahead, Diane.
So this is the house that they're going to fit the gate with the heart into that walkway and the driveway gate there. Perhaps they're putting up driveway gates because there's building in the neighborhood.
Well, we don't know why people are doing what they're doing, but in any event.
It's to keep in the cows.
Okay, so you're making
Keep
a
out the
motion
cows.
to approve this application as presented, Diane?
Yes, I absolutely make a motion to approve this application as presented for
Can I get a
92.
second on that, Chip?
Yes, the second.
All in favor, Jonathan?
Aye.
Esperanza?
No.
And Betsy, aye. Okay, great, and you're good to go. Sorry for all the craziness. I think it's in the planets.
Good night.
Good night. Okay, so we're going to jump back to Epic Insurance Brokers and see if Nancy's still with us.
I am. I'm still here.
Okay, great. I just got to make a note. Okay, so Nancy, we thought we were just reviewing a business sign for the Epic Insurance, but as we started digging through the photos and looking at comparison photos that Diane took that show the building as is, that looks like there's a whole other stuff going on here than just the Epic Insurance sign above the door and in the directory. So can you tell us what's going on?
Well, it's the, because we're all in one building, yes, it is Epic Insurance. And when I originally called, because we're going to paint the whole building and spruce it up, when I originally called, they said to put them both on one application. I don't know if maybe that wasn't the thing, but the building is owned by the same owner. And since the whole building is painted, I would put it in for Epic Insurance, which is formerly Cook Marin. And then the tenant on the other side of the building is the same tenant, but he's just going to update his lettering. And while we're doing the street sign, we share the street sign as well. Mm-hmm. So we would do it all at once so that it matches.
Okay, I'm going to apologize that you were given incorrect information. There's two separate issues here, and there would be two separate applications. One would be for your business sign, and then the other would be for all the new painting and change of color would be a change to commercial. So let me just double check with this. This is all one tax map number, right? The one for and your building and the third. Yes, so you would need one application for a change to commercial, okay? And then if Domain Franny is going to change their signs, they're going to need a new application for a business sign.
Okay. So
what we can do now is we can approve your business sign that you proposed, but we have a few problems, and I just want to clarify this, Diane, if you'll just let me.
Please.
On your rendering, where you show that the Epic Insurance sign, like, you know, a large section of it, they're right there. You have that it's 426 by 9.8 inches, which we know is not factual because that would be a 70 square foot sign. So can you give us dimensions? I know you have 10 square feet on the application, but what are the actual dimensions of the lettering on that's going to go above the door? Do you have that?
Let's see. I may have it in an email from Hampton Signs. If you just bear with me, I can take a look.
Because we can't approve it unless we know what the actual size is. It has to go in the record and on the resolution.
Okay, I do have that. Okay. The attached dimensions. That's the domain sign. Okay. Looked like the logo was going to be 10 inches high. The logo part would be the Epic part. Mm-hmm. And 6 inches high would be the rest of the lettering. So
I would say since the Epic is the larger, so it's 10 inches high, and what's the length?
Well, the entire length is 168 inches, so.
It's 426 inches on mine.
No, but that's from column to column, so we need I'm going to remind the board, we can't just nilly-willy make approvals on things. There are staff shortages, and
I
the staff
understand
that we have to have exact information from this meeting as well as read into the record. So if we don't have that exact information, we'll table it.
1 second. The drawings submit to the town.
Because there is exacting information for the Freeney's signs.
Yeah, but they didn't.
Which weren't mentioned on the application. So that was the confusion, I think.
Yeah. They're going to have to resubmit that.
Yes, it's on the Freeney's sign. Let me see. We've had so many different renderings back and forth, just making sure that I have the.
Right, but I just want to be clear to you, Nancy, and the board that this is proposed sign on the application for Epic Insurance. It has nothing to do with Franny. We're not reviewing that today. You have to put out another business sign application for that, separate.
Even though it's the same building?
You don't have it on the application. I can't approve something that's not on the application. All you have is proposed sign, Epic Insurance, brokers, and consultants. One on the face of the building and one closer to the street entry into the parking lot. Square footage of proposed sign is 10. Single or double? Double for street only. So that has nothing to do with Franny.
Okay.
And also there's no indication about lighting. So you have to make that consideration too, because there's 4 old fixtures where the Epic Insurance is.
Let's deal with the sign for now, or one at a time.
Okay, I think it's pretty clear that we need exact measurements for this Epic Insurance brokers, and we need a different application for Pierre Franny.
Right. I'm just trying to see if Nancy has the exact information. If you don't, we'll table it, Nancy.
Okay. I'm looking. The lettering is 10 square feet in total. There it is. Epic. Hang on 1 second. It just says 10. She just said 10 square feet in total.
All right, Diane, can you speak to Nancy about the goosenecks that are on the other 2 buildings and with her signage, and then we'll table this, and then she can come back to us with an updated application for the Epic sign with new lighting, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
David, can you show the photographs that I sent today with the lighting?
It's the existing. We're changing the lights.
Yeah, you are changing the lights to those gooseneck lights that are on the wine store and also on the vacant property to the east.
They're on the existing front. If you look closely at it over the wine store, the goosenecks are there.
Yes,
they're the same. Yeah, they're the same lights. We're not changing them.
Okay.
They just stand out differently, I think, in the rendering because of the color, but the goosenecks are on the existing building.
No, it's
and
not.
What about lighting on the Epic Insurance sign?
No, there's no lighting on the Epic Insurance sign.
There's no lighting, so you're going to remove these fixtures that are there.
We're leaving the fixtures as they are, the goosenecks that are on the existing.
No, I'm not talking about the goosenecks. I'm talking about the pictures. Can you see the screen right now? I'm talking about these.
You mean the little
spotlights?
Yes. They're not spotlights. They're those are our cameras for security. You mean about the pitch? Are you talking about like the old pitch? The it looks like with the finial in the middle above Cook Marin. Are you talking about those 2 little things?
Yes, but there are lights underneath. They're long.
Right. So I understand that those 2 above are cameras.
Okay. Yeah, they're security cameras.
But what about the ones with the longer arms that are the heads are facing towards the signage? Are those cameras as well? So there's no lighting on that part of the building?
Those aren't cameras. They face the side of the building. They just record the wall.
So I think even if they are lighting, what difference does it make? Not going to change it. They're the existing.
Well, because they're not dark sky compliant, or we don't think they are. And if they are, you need to give us cut sheets on them that show that they are. We can't approve something that's not dark sky compliant. And dark sky compliant lights like that have to face down. They don't face sideways and up.
Okay, I think those are the existing security cameras, but I will.
Okay, so you can double check that and it can be part of the more complete application.
Right. So I'm just going to help you, Nancy, because I think this is getting, a little bit confusing, and I want to be very clear. You will need, for this application, you will need to give us the exact measurements of the signage that was going to go above the door, square, so how many inches long it is from end of the lettering to the beginning to the end, and the highest height. So if the highest height is 10 inches, is it 5 feet long? Whatever that is, that measurement. And if it ends up measuring out to be 10 square feet, that's great. The building needs to have a change to commercial for the entire change of painting and the colors. Then you'll need a separate business sign application for domain. With your application for Epic, you need to give us cut sheets on any kind of new lighting that you're going to put on. And if there is existing lighting, if it's not dark sky compliant, it has to go away. Then the other thing is that I want to bring you, since there's like a change of ownership here or tenants, that we have been advised that our code for directory signs, that you do not need ARB approval for it to come in within your total signage allowance, but you do need ARB approval, and each directory sign can't be more than 6 inches high by 36 inches wide. And those two signs for domain, which are a little bit weathered and could use a little updating, need to be within code since you're swapping them out so they're not grandfathered on the Cook Marin, and they're measuring something like 6 feet long and 18 inches high. So you're going to need to rethink that directory sign.
They did redesign the directory sign. Was it not part of the application?
No, there's no indication. It's just the existing.
And you didn't give us, I believe, excuse me, Nancy, you didn't give us what the directory sign design is going to look like. All we have is the proposed sign for up above the door. So this is an incomplete file, and so you need to do some work on this. If you have any questions, feel free to call David McMaster. He'll be more than happy to help you.
And David, I think that's part of the problem. The original person I spoke to at the town is no longer with you. So do you have
David is our town attorney. He's with us here tonight operating our smart board.
Okay, so McMaster?
McMaster, he's in the town attorney's office, okay?
324-8787.
324-8787? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Great, thanks, Nancy. Sorry you were giving incomplete information.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, I'm going to shoot back over to page 4, William and Zoe Dennehy. Tax map 300-95-3-253 Gardner's Lane in Springs. We're looking for someone for the applicant, possibly Matt, William, or Zoe.
Hi, how you doing?
Hi, Bill.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, how you doing?
Hi. All right.
Hold on, we're just muting our TV.
Yes, please do. Chip's going to read into the record what this is for.
Sure. So this application is for the replacement of an existing set of wood plank gates and several adjoining panels of stockade fencing. The property is in a woody subdivision several blocks in from 3 Mile Harbor. The gates and the fencing are behind the front facade of the house, to the left of the house, and are at least 60 feet off the road. The current gate is a vertical plank board. The fence is 6-foot stockade fencing. Both measure the height at 77 inches tall, so they're set off the ground a little bit. There is deer fencing to the left side of these gates, plastic square mesh that is 92 inches high, 7.5 feet in spots, and slipping down 9-foot tall metal poles in other spots. The deer fencing completely encloses the backyard. On the other side of the front of the house, between the street and the front facade of the house, there is an extensive 6-foot high stockade fencing that's long been there. I don't have an issue replacing the gates and the stockade fencing on the left side of the house per the application, with the new gates and then the stockade fencing not being more than 6 feet high measured from the ground. I do have issues with the height of the deer fencing in the back of the house and the poles. The deer fencing is that wire mesh. It's very dangerous to the deer, and it's a very sloppy and dangerous installation. There's the other issue of the existing 6-foot high stockade fencing to the right side of the house. It is mostly buried in the woods, but it is between the front of the house and the street. So we're looking at on the left, the first one is the driveway and the gates and the fencing we want to replace. There it is. Next photo, David. Similar picture there. You see the front of the house. So this is behind the front facade. That's the side of those gates that you just saw with the deer fencing and the tall 9-foot tall poles. And then the last photo is the stockade fencing to the right of the house that's in the front yard, 6 feet tall. So the applicants want to talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, basically we are looking to obviously replace the left side, which you didn't seem to have a lot of trouble with. The right side, the east side of the house, it's basically the fence is obviously deteriorated. It's about 33.
Yeah, that's fine. That's an easy one. Yeah, but it cannot be higher than 6 feet off the ground.
No, in which the current fence we thought was roughly 6 feet when I measured it, at least.
Well, it's 77 inches, so it's a little over 6 feet.
Okay, we'd replace it with a 6-foot fence. We realize in the front of the house that I think in this day and age, I don't think we'd need a variance for the distance. It's about 15 feet from the asphalt on Gardner's Lane. And we'd like to maintain the same footprint because we have obviously all the landscaping there already. So to replace it would be, just a neat, if we can preserve as much of that landscaping and what that landscaping does to hide the fence from people.
Excuse me for 1 minute, Bill. Chip, do you want to address that, the length, or would you like me to jump in?
Well, this last picture on the right, that's the existing 6-foot fence. It's been there a long time. It's in the front of the house. It's buried a lot in the woods. It took me a second to even notice it. I mean, I'm just bringing it up. It's probably something that was never approved. You're not going to touch it. I'm of the opinion we could just let it go.
Well, wait. I was speaking more towards the driveway being, the gate being 15 feet from the roadway where the fire marshal required.
No, 60 feet from the roadway, Betsy. 60 feet from the roadway.
15.
No,
I
60.
thought so too.
No, 60.
That made hopefully that easier.
Yeah, so that's fine. I mean, I'm concerned about your deer fencing in the back. It's not a good installation. It's that plastic wire, and it's dangerous, and it's slipping down the pole. The poles are too high, and the fencing is too high. But that needs to be cleaned up a little bit.
Okay, that is a combination of us and our neighbors over the years have added that stuff. The house behind us and the house to the side of us. And if need be, we could address it or discuss addressing it, but you can understand I'll say a conglomerate of several people adding.
Right, but some of it to the left of the driveway gate that you're fixing is yours, obviously. I mean, it can be up to 8 feet tall in the backyard, but these 9-foot poles cannot be 9 feet. They have to be cut down to 8 feet.
Right.
Okay.
He needs approval from the ARB for the 8-foot deer fencing.
Fencing in the back, yeah. Right.
David, are you okay with this survey? I mean, I don't expect them to get a new survey, coming before the board, but I'm having a really hard time just like seeing what's what on this.
Well, Betsy, the thing in the center is the house, the thing
Yeah.
that looks like an H. And then the existing 6-foot gate on the left with gate, that's the stuff they want to replace. And then on the right is this stockade fence that comes to the right and in front of the house that comes down towards the street. So that's
okay,
it.
And you're okay with that, facing the street?
Well, I'd rather have them correct the other stuff if we're going to have priorities here.
Well, where's the driveway on the survey?
It's not, well, I think it's right down below existing 6-foot on the left. It's straight, but it's probably, you can't even see.
If you look at the picture of the left side of the house, it almost makes it clearer than to look at the drawing, because we've had a little bit of issues with the surveys that were done by the town when we went for refinancing in the 80s and things like that, where the surveyor who did it did not really depict things correctly.
Well, can you just tell us, Bill, where your driveway is, looking at the survey?
It's directly in front of that red line beneath where it says existing 6-foot fence with gate on
to the right of the house, where that
the left of the house.
Left
the
of the
left of the house, Betsy.
The left
The
of the
driveway's
house.
on the left side.
Okay.
If we look at that picture of the left side of the street, the view, the picture you took of it, I think it almost makes it clearer.
Yeah, it's right there, Betsy. That's the driveway and the house is on the right.
Picture 5 of 7, yeah, that's it.
Got it.
And that's the gate right there we're looking at, right?
Yeah. And they have a new proposed gate that's a little different. David, there's a drawing of or picture of a new proposed gate that's more horizontal planking.
Right. Okay, I got it. Thank you for that. I'm just trying, I had to step away, so I wasn't.
Oh, so here's their pictures, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And there's the new gate and fencing they want to do. So it's all going to be the same, Bill and Zoe? It's all going to be horizontal planking?
Exactly.
Okay. It's got a little bit of openness, but not a lot, but it's very, very far back from the road.
And how tall is it?
6 feet.
And it's just a pedestrian gate. It's not a driveway gate. And then, Chip, again, I apologize because I step away. What is around the parameter of the sides of the house and the back? I know you said
There's deer fencing. There's deer fencing that's 7.5 feet, not 7.5 feet tall on 9-foot high poles is around the back. Some of it's theirs, some of it's the neighbors, but the stuff on the sides is theirs.
Well, it's a lot of enclosure considering, I understand on the left it's 60 feet back, but then you have not far from the property line, 6-foot fencing, then it goes into 7, and then, it goes all the way back and around. And where does it end? Where on the left side where the 6-foot new fencing is going to go?
Yes.
Yeah.
The whole back is essentially fenced in, and then on the right side of the house, it creeps up towards the street a little bit. So maybe 60% of the property is fenced, maybe 60, 65 is fenced, and the rest is open, which is the front yard.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty large lot for the neighborhood.
Does anybody have any questions for Chip or for Bill or Zoe?
So if you did 6 feet on the left side, where you're saying it needs to be replaced because it's too tall?
No, it's not too tall. It's that it's falling apart. They want to replace it with a horizontal new pedestrian gate and wall.
I thought it was 9-foot posts and.
No, that's the deer. That's the adjacent.
That's
deer
what I'm
fencing.
talking about. I'm talking about deer fencing.
Right. What you said in the front of the house. I'm sorry.
No, on the side. So if that were taken down to 6 feet, since it has to be replaced anyway with wire, and it would be 6 feet on the right side, and then 8 feet in the back, they wouldn't need to be before us, no?
Well, they would need ARB approval up above 6 in the back. So if the 8 was in the back plane of the house, they would need ARB approval. And they need ARB approval for the existing 6-foot fencing that on the right side of the house that faces the street.
Right.
Yes, I understand that.
Trustee?
Yep.
My internet on my laptop is failing me.
Okay. So what does that mean?
Means we don't have file sharing.
Hold on. So,
Okay, but while David's trying to figure that out, I think we're all coming to some kind of understanding on what's going on here. Chip, what is your recommendation since you've been there and you know the property?
I would, what's before is the replacement of the gate and the adjacent panels that are wood. That's fine. I would approve that. I would ask them to clean up the deer fencing in the back. I mean, if they want to have 8-foot deer fencing, I don't see that's a problem, but it's got to be better installed, and the posts have to come down to 9 to 8 feet from 9 feet. And I would just approve or leave the fencing on the other side of the house because it's deep in the woods and it's been there, it looks like forever.
On both sides?
On the right side, yeah.
What about
the stockade fencing on the right side?
Mm-hmm.
That comes out towards the street.
Okay, and what about the fencing on the back side of the left side of the property?
That's the deer fencing, yeah. I mean, we can either approve it at 6 or 8. I mean, it's, yeah.
That's what I was suggesting, because you were indicating there was so much enclosure that if it were reduced to 6 feet, it would be.
So all the fencing is 6 feet in the whole property, yeah. I think in the back, Esperanza, the neighbor has a parallel deer fencing that I think is 8 foot, that's butts up against their deer fencing. There's double fencing back there.
So even if you took down their fencing, there's still like an 8-foot fencing on the back left side is what you're saying?
Yes,
okay.
And across the back.
Yeah, okay.
So I would approve the gates and the fencing they want to replace. I would ask them to clean up all the deer fencing in the back. It's that wire mesh, which is dangerous, and it needs to come down in height. And I would sort of just
plastic mesh, right? It's not
plastic mesh, yes. And then clean up, and I would just ignore the other stockade fencing on the right side of the house.
And then make sure nothing exceeds over 8 feet in the back.
Yes.
Jonathan or Diane, you have any comments, questions, thoughts, ideas? Diane, are you with us?
You're muted.
I know. I think Chip has covered everything.
Okay. All right. So Chip, let it rip.
I make a motion to approve the gate and fencing replacement as stated in the application, none of which can exceed 6 feet in total. And I ask the applicant to clean up the deer fencing in the backyard so it is no taller than 8 feet. The metal posts are no taller than 8 feet. And I think the wire plastic mesh needs to be replaced with real deer fencing.
Well, so
in other words, that kind of green
code it has to be.
Yeah. Oh, so okay.
It's not wire plastic mesh. It's either plastic mesh or
it's plastic mesh. I'm sorry, it's plastic mesh. Yes.
Okay. All right. Can I get a second on that, Esperanza?
Well, I'm not trying to belabor this. I just want to be clear. It has to be replaced with wire, black wire. Are we approving 8 feet on the entire perimeter of the backyard?
No, just along the back side.
So on the sides, it will be 6 feet?
No, Chip is saying that what's there is how high, Chip?
It's 8 feet, but some of it across, I mean, the sides are 8 feet, across the back is 8 feet, but there's a parallel 8-foot deer fence from the neighbor across the back.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't want to deal with the neighbor. I'm dealing with this property, and we're trying to bring this into compliance. The neighbor is not probably. So that's, I'm trying to be clear about this.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But I think what Chip's point is that even if you had them knock it down to 6 on the sides, they're still going to have deer fencing that's 8 foot right next to it.
But in the future, when the 8-foot one has to be reduced to 6, there'll be.
Exactly. That's my point. I'm trying to make the point that if we approve 8 feet here, we're then approving 8 feet And this person next door will never have to come down.
Right. I hear you. And then also too, Chip's point was on the opposite side, on the right side, it's all entwined in land, like overgrowth and whatnot.
Right. I got it. Okay. So what is the motion for?
Well, but to your point, if you and Jonathan feel that on the left side, the side needs to come down to 6 feet, and you'll give them the 8 in the back and leave the stuff on the right side that's
6
in
feet.
the woods, right?
Mhm.
That you want that at 6 as well?
Well, it is at just over 6 feet, according to Chip, right? It's
No,
stockade.
the stockade on the far right is, yes, that can stay. I wouldn't mess with that, yes.
That's the only fencing on the right side, correct?
No, but he's saying in back behind the plane of the house, aren't you saying that there's 8-foot deer fencing in the?
Yes.
But he said it's entwined like with all kinds of, overgrowth and whatnot. Do you have pictures of it, Chip, that we could see?
Of what? The deer fencing or the stockade?
The deer fencing in the back and the right, that's all behind,
I didn't take it. It was hard to photograph it.
Right, okay. So
I mean, it's a very woodsy neighborhood. I mean, you could, I don't know.
All right. So
I would give them the 8 feet on the two sides.
And the back. All right.
I don't think we can I don't know.
No, you can. By code, we can approve behind the back plane of the house on the sides and the back up to 8 feet.
On all the sides? Yes.
Behind the plane, the 3 sides in the back, yes. They can have 6 feet by right, but anything over 6, not higher than 8, we can approve. So let's get the owners in on this. You hear us struggling with this. Do you have any suggestions how you would like to, try to do this, if anything further?
Yeah, if we could keep the metal fencing, just because it honestly, all of that involves 3 neighbors on 3 sides that have, built that over the years. The 2 neighbors on Gardner's and the neighbors who are on, what's that street behind us? Sandra, the house that faces our backyards face each other. That fence has been added by them. So it's, it's a little bit convoluted, our fencing situation there.
Well, let me ask you this. How much space is between each of your fencing and the sides back and the back?
Our fence, the fence on the back of the house, literally is obviously the property line.
Okay. Is there a fence behind that?
No, that's a single fence that is half ours on one end, that's a vacant lot, and half theirs, which is on their property.
Okay, so what I want to recommend to you when you do the swap out of the wire mesh for the from the plastic deer fencing, and you cut down those poles to no higher and the fencing no higher than 8, make sure that that's on your property line. So if you have to move anything off, the other property, you need to make that, because when this is all said and done and you're going to want to C of O, we can't approve anything that's not on your property. Okay. So I think you're hearing from the board that back fencing at 8 feet, no higher, but needs to be, by code, the wire deer fencing and not the plastic. On the left side of your property, facing your backyard, how much distance between your fencing and your neighbor's fencing is there?
Literally, they're against each other.
An inch or 2, yeah.
Okay. And your fence is approximately 8 feet, and theirs is approximately 8 feet, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then on the opposite side, the right side facing your backyard, is that the same scenario?
The stockade is on our fence, and there's just mostly our fence. There's a bit of wire fence and then a stockade fence. It's kind of a mix of the 2.
Okay. Is there any space in between any of those 3 types of fencing where an animal can get caught? No. If they're going to jump in? Or
No, they're
all
tight.
compacted. Okay. All right. So I'm going to poll the board. and see if, where we are with this. Diane, you haven't said anything, did you?
Well, I mean, it seems to me that Chip has looked very carefully at the property and that everybody's intentions are good.
Okay.
So,
all right, so I'm going to poll the board. So if Chip were to make a motion to approve the new 6-foot, hold on, the new
Fencing,
6-foot
fence and gate.
fence and gate that's horizontal wood, natural wood, stained, along with the existing 6-foot stockade fence that is facing the front street on the right side of the property, and anything behind the plane of the house that can't be higher than 8 feet on the two back sides and the back. Chip is in favor of that. Diane is in favor of that. I'm okay with that. Esperanza, are you okay with that?
I mean, I think that we've always discussed how these properties that are fully enclosed, I'm not sure I am.
Okay. And Jonathan?
Now, did that also, I'm sorry, I missed it, did that also include on the left side, I think, going from 8 foot down to 6?
It was all, no, what Chip is suggesting is all the existing 8-foot fencing on the two sides in the back, as well as the back side, stay and can't be higher than 8 feet. They have to cut it down and swap it out for wire fencing.
And Grant, and just let me say, when we talk about being totally enclosed, we're talking about quarter-acre properties that are adjacent to one another with, homes and children. So we feel everybody should be fenced in for the good of everybody's kids and everything else.
Yeah, well. So I don't see why it can't go to 6 foot for a while in that one spot.
On the left, okay.
On the left.
So what we have here is we have a board that's 3-2 on a poll. So if we were to take the vote, what Chip's proposing would pass. So Chip, go ahead and make a motion.
Make a motion that we accept the application as stated for a new replacement gate of horizontal planking with joining planking fences on either side. And then replacing the plastic deer fencing on the left side and the rear of the house and a little bit on the right side with approved wire mesh fencing to be no taller than 8 feet and with poles no taller than 8 feet.
Right. And can you also approve the 6-foot stockade fence on the right side?
Oh, and the existing 6-foot stockade fencing to the right of the house, which comes a little bit into the front yard, is approved as existing.
Can I get a second on that, Diane?
Second, yes.
And Betsy, I, and Esperanza?
Just to be clear, I'm fine with most of this except for the deer fencing.
So it's a yes or no?
I'll say yes.
Okay. And Jonathan?
Yes.
Okay. So you're good to go. Okay. If you have any questions, reach out, let us know, either call the office or David McMaster, our attorney, but, this should be very well spelled out on your resolution. Okay, Will and Zoe?
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you for letting us deliberate this long and hard on your property.
Yeah.
That's okay.
No problem.
Good luck with the new fencing and the front of the house.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Extension of time, Magron Realty LLC, tax map number 300-49-3-16, 45 Euclid Avenue in Montauk. Anyone from Land Planning Services?
You have no additional people in the waiting room and no additional callers.
All right. Had I known when Lori and Jean were on, I would have jumped to this. So what this is this is an application that was before us back in 2008 for a new building that is to go on 45 Euclid Avenue. So if you're on Euclid and you know where Fort Pond Native Plants is, that is like down a little, small roadway that runs parallel to Euclid. And in front of it is a Muse restaurant. Then there was this little narrow building envelope. And then past that, I think, is the parking lot to the Montauk Manor. So this was for a new commercial building, and they didn't build it. Okay, the reference property would like an extension of time for an existing architectural review board approval date of August 7, 2008. During this time frame, new owners have acquired the property and seek to modify the existing ARB approved designs. So nothing has changed on what was approved, and the resolution also has gone out of time, and they came before us in 2018 to get an extension of time, and I guess maybe at that time is when it changed hands, because just looking at the dates on some of these. Then there was another extension of time on October 8th, 2020, for another extension of time, and they're back for another one. I guess with COVID, they didn't have the ability to start building, but they have a building permit on the construction fencing around the property, and the foundation is being poured. I have no problem with approving another extension of time for them to finish this new commercial building within the next year period. Can I get a second on that? Can I make a motion to approve the extension of time? Can I get a second, Esperanza?
Second.
All in favor, Chip?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
And Jonathan, thank you.
Yes.
Okay. Then we're going to go to another extension of time, which is James and Mary Beth Lamont, tax map number 300-24-6-277 Lionhead Rock Road, East Hampton. Chip?
The application is for their an extension of time concerning the replacement. Oh, wait. Sorry, wrong one. This is an application for an extension of time for a 2017 application for fencing and gates on a 1/3 of an acre property in Clearwater Beach. While the gates and the fencing have been installed and other gates added that were not part of the original application, there is no current survey of this property, so it's hard to tell exactly what's going on. There's several issues. The gates were approved at 6 feet, 72 inches with 72-inch 6-foot posts, and the posts are now 78 inches, which is 6.5 feet. The bigger problem is there's a pair of circular driveway, pair of two sets of gates. Two of the posts have 16-inch lanterns on them. That's not approved, not on any kind of survey. There are also two 8-foot tall wooden pedestrian gates on the either side of the house, 6 feet in front of the front facade of the house that were not part of the original approval and are not on the survey. So in dealing with this property, we really need an updated survey. I have no problem giving them an extension of time, but the survey is just not accurate.
I'm going to ask you a couple questions if you don't mind. What they originally had was 6 and 8 foot fencing that was approved by this board, correct? And that has been built.
Yes.
And then there's a new double driveway gate on a circular driveway. So there's two different gates. And what are they?
Yes, two sets of gates on a semicircular driveway. Yes.
How tall are those?
The gates are 6 feet, but the posts are 6.5 feet, and two of the posts have 16-inch lamps on top of them that were not part of the original.
The approval for that. Okay, so that's posts.
These are these pedestrian gates that appear on either side of the house. They're 6 feet in front of the house. They're not on anything. They just appeared. But what's odd is that the fencing adjoining them is like 3.5, 4 feet tall. and then you can see the wire fencing and the post, and then you have these tremendously tall gates.
Yeah. And is there a pool back there? Maybe that's why they have that small fencing.
I don't think I saw a pool. No, I don't think there's a pool back there at all.
Well, this sort of comes back to a situation we had recently where someone had asked for an extension of time, and there were other things that were built that were not code compliant on the property. So to give the extension of time doesn't include the 2 circular driveway gate and posts that are, over 4 feet. Plus they have lanterns on them, which are not dark sky compliant. Plus it's over 6 feet, which you can't have. And there's 2 8-foot pedestrian gates. So it brings us to the same thing where we were debating this the last time something like this came before us. If you approve the extension of time, these other areas, are not code compliant and against code. And we couldn't even
also on for CO, but they're also on for a certificate of occupancy, right? This is James.
Yes. Yes.
So that I think speaks that they're only applying for the structures that are part of the original approval.
Okay.
Well, then the gates, the driveway gates are 6 feet. The posts are 6 inches over what they should be, and the 16-inch lamps were never part of that approval. So there's a problem right there.
And plus the 8
wouldn't get the CO.
What?
So it wouldn't be eligible. Sorry, Betsy, go ahead.
I was going to say, so what you're suggesting, David, if I'm understanding this, that if we approve the extension of time, it approves only the fencing that was in the resolution, and then we move forward to issue a certificate of occupancy, and then the building department would go out there and then they would discover all these gates and pedestrian gates. I'm not in favor of doing things like that. I think if
unless we can have a memo to the building department of some kind.
Right, we could. Or we can, revoke the resolution, not give them the extension of time, and have them come back to us with a new application that would include what was originally approved and request for, getting these other issues in compliance. And the board could vote on, the 6-foot gate, removing the lanterns, dropping the posts. We don't know how we vote. The pedestrian gates are over what we're allowed to approve. And then they would have more than a year to bring this into compliance. They'd have 3 years.
May I ask, is the original resolution from 2017, is that satisfied? Is that in compliance?
Yes, that's what Chip is saying.
So the answer is then that they get code enforcement violations for the other structures on the property. The extension of time only applies to what was approved in 2017.
I know. Can we then approve the extension of time just for those 2 things and not move forward with the C of O because there's other issues that are non-code compliant? I don't want to go to C of O.
That's what I would think.
Okay, I mean, that's if the board wants to do it that way, I don't have an objection.
Because then what that does is it sends a message to the applicant that we're giving them the extension of time. But wait, what I don't understand, let me just do this. Why would they be asking for an extension of time if everything's in compliant with the resolution?
Because
they never came back to the CO. For whatever reason, they never came back.
3 years, right? It's past 3 years.
2017,
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's been a long day. Okay, so.
And then get a new survey at the same time.
I think we need a new survey, Betsy. Yeah.
Yes.
And the survey that was submitted, which is the proposed fencing that they put in front of the house, is actually not on their property. It's in the right of way. So, and that seemed to fly by, but the proposed fencing is not on their property.
But again, that's not what they're asking for approval for. All that stuff can be cited as a code violation, and would have to, if it's on their property, they can get approval for it in a separate application. The original thing that they're asking for extension of time is this gate that they're largely apparently in compliance with, except for the lighting.
No, it's fencing. It's not a gate.
Oh, it's 2 gates, Betsy. It's two pairs of
In the
gates.
back,
And-
right?
No,
What is-
it's a lot of fencing. There's
No,
fencing
no,
in
wait,
the back.
Chip. What is the original resolution for again? And if they are compliant, let's just grant them their extension of time and we move on to the CO and we don't.
Okay, here's the original resolution, and it's odd. It's typed out in a way that we don't do things now. Front section will now be 6 foot. Fence will be 6 feet high across the front with 2 gates at each end of the driveway. Back section, fence will be 8 feet in height. Side section will be 8 feet tall from the back of the property to the back of the house and 6 feet in height from the point to the front of the house. Other side section, there's a fence that belongs to the neighbor and extends for 100 feet. From that point forward, we will put 6-foot fencing up ourselves.
So this should be tabled for a new survey.
Yes.
I think it's really a mess, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that the 6-foot high wooden driveway gates were approved.
Yes, they were approved, Betsy. Yes,
Right.
they were approved.
But the posts need to come down to 6 and
6
the
inches.
lanterns need to come
Yes, and the lanterns need to come off, yes. And they're actually nice driveway gates. They're open and, friendly, user-friendly, but yeah.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll make a motion to approve the extension of time. And when we get to the certificate of occupancy, we'll deny it because of the posts being higher than 6. So we'll go through that when we get there. Okay. All right, Chip, go ahead.
Right. So I make a motion that we approve the extension of time as stated in the application.
Great, thank you. Can I get a second on that, Esperanza?
Second.
Okay. Diane?
Aye.
Jonathan?
Aye.
And Betsy, aye. All right, let's move to that one and finish this up. James and Mary Beth Lamont, tax map number 300-24-6-7, 7 Lions Head Rock Road, East Hampton, for certificate of occupancy. Chip?
I make a motion that we not approve the certificate of occupancy request as the applicant is not in conforming with the earlier application as stated.
You sure you don't want to table it?
I was going to ask you, are we tabling this or denying it?
I think it's better to table it so we can come back and tell them, what they need to do.
Then table it.
Then we'll table it. All right, very good. All right, Sergey Paramenov and Catherine Sinclair, tax map number 300-112-2-209 Cattle Walk in East Hampton. Jonathan?
Hi, well, this is something we looked at last March. It's a driveway gate that is built on the slight slope. The height of the highest part of the post and gate was 7'6". We had a resolution that we approve the fence if it is not taller than 7'6". It's still exactly the same 7'6" height. So I approve their application for a certificate of occupancy.
Great. Can I get a second? Oh, so then you also need to
Make a motion.
make a motion and advise the staff.
Okay. So I advise the staff that we have approved the issuance of a certificate of occupancy for this house.
Okay, can I get a second on that, Jonathan, Chip?
Second.
Diane?
I'll second that.
Aye.
And Esperanza?
I say aye to the motion.
Thank you. And Betsy, aye. Anthony Hallinger, tax map number 300-9-1-8.69 Wills Point Road in Montauk. This was an application that was approved. A resolution was made for the approval of a 6-foot driveway.
I think somebody's on the phone for this. There was
Okay.
a caller before for this one.
There's nobody on the phone lines.
Okay, I guess he left.
Can you see that, David?
No, but the person before that said that, remember there's the phone number ending 5458 that Matt didn't recognize on the list that we have That's AJ Meyer's phone number, ends 5458, and that's for Anthony Hollinger.
Right. They left a long time ago.
Okay, but that was for this one.
And what's his name, David? What?
So his name is, it looks just like Jason, but the email address was ajmeyer@gmail.com.
Meyer.
Mayer, yes.
Yeah, okay.
And then there was Jason from Whitney Landscaping, who's also going to appear.
In the event, this was a resolution for a 6-foot driveway gate existing, but it has some black plastic fencing inside. If you want to pull up a photograph that they submitted so everybody can see what this fence looks like. And what we required that they do is remove the black plastic flap at the bottom, which you can see on this photo is still there, but in physicality, when I was there yesterday, the flap has been removed. Then the resolution also covered deer fencing, and back then we approved the plastic deer fencing and posts across the front line, yard line, and property line is highlighted on the survey at no greater than 6 feet. It still is anywhere from 7 to 8 feet, depending on the topography. And if you can go to the survey, you can see that there also was some higher deer fencing towards the back. And in the resolution, it says that the area highlighted in the back and the front yard, no greater than 6, and all that fencing is 7 to 8 feet as well. So this is not ready for certificate of occupancy. Just the gate is, but it's not.
Betsy, did you say that we approved plastic mesh?
Mm-hmm.
How did we do that?
Because it was existing and it was back in.
No, but then we couldn't do that. It's not to code.
Well, at some point we did. For some reason, we did. It's plastic fencing. So when they come back to us, AJ and Jason, they have to cut all that stuff down. We'll make sure that they're aware that it's not to code. There has been times in the past where people had plastic fencing and we let it be. So we just get better at this as we go along. Gives us since they didn't cut the stuff down, it gives us an opportunity to revisit it with the code. So I'm going to make a motion to close this meeting. I'd like a second, Esperanza.
Are we tabling this?
Table that, yeah.
Yes, it's tabled. Sorry.
All right, yeah. Yes, I second.
Okay, all in favor, Jonathan?
Aye.
Chip?
Aye.
Diane and Betsy?
Yes.
Aye. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, David, for doing 2 jobs today.
Yeah, thank you, David.
It was a lot of deliberation, but I think it was all well worth the time and effort. Thank you, board.